one is?
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
But that was a sucker fan.
That should be changed.
So by saying your ties look really nice today, or
Yeah,
something
okay.
like
Yeah,
that.
that's exactly. Insincere.
Insincere.
That's right, yeah.
Huh.
Custer County Board of County Commissioners meeting will come to order. Let the record show today is December the 5th, 2019. The time is 9:00 a.m. I wonder if Councilor Smith would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today. I'm kind of going that direction.
You're next.
Yep.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you,
I
sir.
think that's the very best we've ever done.
Where'd you say
I
that?
was just thinking that.
Oh, it's in the box.
Our leader.
It's in the box.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
It's not empty, right? Delirious and is.
Yeah. That's right. All right. If anybody has not, would remind you to silence your phones as I ask the county clerk to the board
What'd you do?
do the roll call, please.
Commissioner Flower.
Present.
Commissioner Candace.
Here.
Commissioner Prince.
Here.
Attorney Clint Smith.
Present.
And clerk to the board Kelly Camper present.
And thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Audience introductions.
Who are
Jackie
you?
Bubis for the Sentinel.
Thank you. Amendments to the agenda. Gosh, I'm just.
We can amend the introduction.
Yeah, we could amend the introduction, but
I don't have anything.
nor do I. Yes, sir?
We have one thing on here twice,
You're right.
consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would suggest we take off that second one, that's the one I had here, consideration of temporary agreement with CRCA Free Company.
Okay, so the last item of business, I would move that we amend the agenda by striking consideration
second
of temporary agreement with FreeCom. It's been seconded. Discussion, I believe that's debatable. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Delete that bad boy. Actually, I should strike through it, but, any other amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, we will move on. Approval of the minutes, we do not have any. Commissioner items, Commissioner Prince, would you like to begin?
Since last meeting, the only thing I really did was attend the Colorado Counties Incorporated Convention in Colorado Springs, of course, with both of you and several hundred of my fellow commissioners and administrators and stuff like that. That's basically all I did, and I thought the conference was good. I learned a tremendous amount in many areas. One that I really thought was terrific was governmental immunity, sovereign immunity. It was actually for the road crew, but I went to it because I was curious to see what they were saying, and it's a very complicated area in terms of motor vehicle, what's a motor vehicle, is a road grader motor vehicle, that kind of thing.
Right.
It was excellent. I think at some point we need to discuss short-term rentals, if we feel that it's something that should come onto the radar of the commission or not. But that was a big item, and I believe all three of us attended that. Your governor was there. I'll stop right there. And that was as far as I'll go.
Okay, thank you, sir.
As far as we went.
Commissioner Canada.
Yeah, it seems like a year ago, didn't it? And last time it's only been
some
a
water
week.
under the bridge.
Big deal, though, that I did finalize was a meeting with Sally Clark, USDA, here on Thursday here in this room.
10:30.
10:30 on Thursday, and it's for her to discuss two things she wants to do. One is answer any questions we have on her program for the fiber program we're doing in partnership with the town of Westcliff and Silvercliff, the IGA we just signed. And we will also want to have her, alleviate any concerns that the community might have on what that means and what the program is and what it covers. The other thing she's got a lot of programs, infrastructure programs that USDA, and she presented that to us, you know, in the meetings up there yesterday, this last week. On other things that are available for communities, and there's some good stuff there that I thought was something very useful. I think you missed part of that, Jay, because she did that in the county district thing. Were you in that luncheon?
Mountain District
Mountain
meeting.
District meeting.
Yeah.
She came in and did a personal thing in there, and I think we're gonna see some of that same thing. We're gonna have to get a phone set up, because she's bringing her operations director, who actually works the broadband for her. He's in Phoenix or some other city, and he's gonna be dialed in to answer questions for us on the program itself and how to execute it.
What Thursday?
12 December,
And what time again?
10:30 here in this room. We're gonna go after that to we're either make a decision with the group that either we'll get Subway sandwiches in here and, you know, keep talking, or we can go eat with her at Tony's or something. And then I've had several comments from people thinking it might not be a bad thing to, and not necessarily now, but we could bring her back and have a community-wide we'll sponsor it, to have a Q&A for the program itself, give them a status of where we are on the application, and have her answer, do some more interaction just to help personalize it. She's excited about it from the standpoint that we are a low population county that qualifies us for more. There's rural, urban, and city, basically big city. And this program that they're pushing is really aimed at counties our size, and we really qualify. We're kind of unique because we're close to the bigger cities, yet we're rural. So we can interact with her on Thursday. And then we did sit in. I liked there were some pretty good topics that we covered, and as a result, Tom and I have decided to form a partnership, and we're going to build a hemp farm. We're gonna go squeeze some juice. Actually, we found out in that thing, it isn't all what it's cracked up to be. That's kind of the message I got out of it. It's costly. It looked like it was a fad. And I'm talking hemp, and the risk to the reward is pretty high, because you can screw up and get too hot a crop and be in trouble. And yet they don't have the policies nor the processes, because if you got it hot, why can't you reprocess it, was the issues they were having, and how do you do that to make it cheap enough to handle, get more mechanized, etc. So there's a lot more hemp farms than I realized even in this valley. They got 10 registered grows up here for hemp. Maybe 2 or 3 people, but instead of 10 people, but they've got registered in this county.
Parcels of land.
Parcels of land that are registered, and that's the low end. There are a lot of counties with 6. There's not a county that does that 0. There's 6 to 20, and then I think above that was another category of people, and there's as many as 60 to 100 in some counties, like Pueblo and others. So that was interesting. And then the other one that I thought was really good, and Tom and I both attended it, was a session with the Road and Bridge boys on a program they're setting up for an associate's degree in road and bridge maintenance, basically, doing the job. And it enables a guy to get an associate's degree with college credits for the time that they've spent doing things, as well as other credits they can gain, and then tend to put online and do it. It's a really neat thing that we could offer to our people on the road and bridge areas. Looked good to me. And Tom brought up a pretty good thing. We on the meeting following was guys looking at ways to maintain roads, and the things that are available that we can use as tools and things to help us make decisions on how to handle the roads better. And it's a sad thing that we thought, Tom brought it up in spades and made a big hit, was why don't we get it to all the commissioners so they can take advantage of what this is, rather than having it presented to a team that comes and gets turned down by a city administrator or somebody else and doesn't get the impacts. Let's get it firsthand to everybody. So I thought both those issues were great. And then we did see the governor. Over to you.
Okay, yeah, not a lot to report either. Obviously Thanksgiving holiday was between our last meeting and now, and then our 3 days at Colorado Springs. I thought it was a good conference. I'm glad I went. I thought, certainly felt like it was worth the money that we spent to go. I was a little disappointed about a couple of things and communicated that with Eric Bergman, director of CCI. As Commissioner Prince indicated, we sat in a session that happened to be pertaining to the short-term rentals, and in Salon B and in Salon A they were having, as I found out, another session. That was a regular organized session.
Well,
Yes,
commissioners,
sir.
that they
Between, it was a collaborative effort between teen suicide and another topic. And why they had this band in there, I have no idea, but I just told him, I said it was disrespectful to the speakers,
They had a band?
discourteous
I
to
didn't hear that.
Yeah.
I wasn't at that.
the people that, the audience commissioners
Yeah.
that sat in on that session, and he said, yeah, Jeannie Pagano was very concerned about how that was gonna work. And, so I said, I was very discouraged about that and the lack of seating for the Monday sessions, and he said, yeah, we got caught unaware. We didn't realize so many commissioners had an interest to come on Monday and go to those sessions. And I said, well, we made a point for all three of us to come and attend some of those because we thought it was important. And I said, I just didn't appreciate having to sit on the floor during 2 of the 3 sessions on Monday. And he said, yeah, please send us an email with those. He said, we are very aware of those. You're not the only one, but he said, we need follow-up with emails, so we make sure we get that to the proper committee when they meet through the rest of the winter. But thought it was good conference. Elegante, Hotel Elegante gets a bad rap, I think. I mean, I thought their food was excellent, plenty of it. Their
And they've remodeled
accommodations
it,
are
there's a lot
fine,
better.
and so, yeah, I mean, I had a little trouble getting on the internet Monday night or Tuesday night after our sessions, but that's what it is. So I really felt like the short-term rental session was the most informative, well organized. They had great handouts, 3 excellent speakers, and talked to all 3 of them afterwards and just thought they did a great job, and asked one if we were to ever invite him down to give his perspectives on what they're doing in Larimer County, which is Fort Collins, of course, and Estes Park. And he said, yeah, he would certainly be willing to come down and meet with us. So, their big piece of advice was to get started early on the process if you think that's something you want to deal with. So.
A couple other guys volunteered to come down here too.
I spoke
The
to,
engineer from on the asphalt.
Yeah, Mike did too.
I spoke to ladies in Summit County, they just put theirs in, and they had that really interesting one, that's where they had that parameter
Right.
where all the neighbors had to know.
Yeah.
And she was very amenable to coming down and talking to us or helping us, if that's something we chose to do. And I'm not going there, I'm just saying, we need to decide whether it's something we wanna take on or not.
Right, yeah, I think it's gonna be a political hot potato. We have to decide if we have the stomach to take it on and deal with it and try to get some stuff in place, or if we don't. I think that's what it boils down to.
Right.
So I think we're gonna see the impacts in our county of short-term rentals. I think we've already seen that to some degree. I don't think we'll ever be subjected to the kind of impacts that they're seeing on the Front Range and on the I-70 corridor, but nonetheless, I think we're gonna see some impacts from it.
So we can get some examples. Is what I got out of that.
Yeah, and I brought the 3, there's only 3 counties that have formal
Yeah,
policies in place as I understood it, but there might be some others and they just either weren't aware of them or whatever.
Many towns have it, cause I've researched this for West Cliff. So there are what you saw from the county is similar, ordinances are in a bunch of towns. So,
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of reference if we choose to pursue it.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I'm glad we went. I felt like we really, it was important for all three of us to be there. I felt like other people appreciated the fact that Custer County was there in full force, and, had a couple of people mention that they
We did the
appreciated
wave.
us being that, yeah. So, the other thing I want to bring up under commissioner items is, the inaccurate, misleading coverage that has been portrayed on our behalf in the newspaper, certainly not talking about the Sentinel. Very disappointed in Miss Jackson's inaccurate reporting of our BOCC meeting. I've had several people ask me what in the world is going on, and I said, look, and I hate to say this, but it has come down to this. I have told 3 people, as a county commissioner in this county, you cannot believe everything you read in that newspaper. Very irritated about Miss Jackson's front page article. I think it was inaccurate and very misleading. I know it's inaccurate. There are statements in here that are absolutely untrue. I was hoping she would be here this morning. I'm not surprised that she's not, because I know that one Mr. Hedberg has already had his ears toasted over this particular article on the front page of the November 27th or 28th, just ridiculous about that reporting. So I'm over it. They've certainly, this paper has not done one thing positive to help us as commissioners have a positive collaborative relationship with the clinic. I'm just trying to choose my words carefully and bite my tongue. Yes, sir.
If I could just tag on to the back of that, I have spoken with the clinic personnel that I'm dealing with. They also recognize that the inaccuracies in the reporting, and they are not assuming what's read in there is our feelings. And I just want to say, we still have a good working relationship, and there's no doubt in my mind, as I've spoken to them recently, that we're gonna come up with an amicable solution to our issue.
Yeah.
That is not appropriate.
No, it is not. The headline read, "Hospital District Rejects BOCC Offer." Well, that's absolutely incorrect. We never made an offer to the hospital district, so I don't know how in the world the paper thinks they could reject an offer that we never made. My wife is not a public health nurse. Her name happens to be Cindy Flower. She never reported to this board anything. I did not reject anything. I opposed in debate a motion that was made, and that motion passed 2-1. I didn't reject anything. As a commissioner, I voted against it and I debated against it. I don't have the authority to reject anything. It just absolutely wasn't worth the paper it was printed on, and I'm over it. So Mr. Hedberg knows how that works.
That's a fact. That was very bad, and they have a misunderstanding. There's 3 of us here. It's not any one person.
So,
Running rampant here.
yeah. So I'm gonna let it go at that. I certainly have a lot of other things I could rant and rave about, but I'm gonna take the high road. Anything else, gentlemen, Commissioner Adams? Yes, sir, go ahead.
If I may, please.
Yep.
Speaking of, what did we refer to it as, frivolous thank yous or whatever we were talking about?
Oh, that
Insincere,
sycophant.
Sycophant.
Okay, here we go. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
You spent your Thanksgiving weekend with 2 other gentlemen building a wall for the Department of Human Services.
Mhm.
It looks great, and I just wanna commend you and the
Thank you.
2 associates you had working with you for getting that done during our holiday.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
That
that.
really astonished me when I walked by and looked in there and saw that, yeah.
Yeah, I hope to get it painted and finished up this weekend, so. Yeah, and I wanna publicly thank, Steve Peterman and our maintenance individual, Ivan Mars. They certainly assisted, and I believe it's appropriate that they get paid for their efforts. So by consent, I would ask that it's okay, and thank you for bringing that up. Thanks for your compliment that, we pay them for their hours. We worked 12 hours, all three of us work 12 hours. Of course, I'm not going to submit any hours for that because I get paid to be a commissioner, but certainly feel it's appropriate to
It's okay by me.
pay those guys.
Do you want a formal motion?
You know, I would guess, council, you think
It's
that's,
under, unless you're gonna give them
I think
I
$1,000
think
bucks.
I
Give it
wanna
by
put a
motion.
rate to it.
Okay.
I think would be appropriate for the type of work they did on a holiday weekend. $20 an hour would seem very reasonable to me, and I'm open for debate, I'm just throwing that on the table.
certainly if you'd like to make that in the form of a motion, that'd be great. I do wanna say too, I did post this in the paper for 3 weeks and put it out to bid, never got one response, so.
Let's just cap it, that's
If you wanna-
$240.
Make a motion, then,
Okay, I move that we allocate, $20 an hour for whatever the amount of time was,
cause we're not done yet, that's the problem.
Oh, okay.
to be paid,
Oh, I thought-
to Ivan Mars, our maintenance, young man, and I don't remember the other.
Steve Peterman,
And Steve Peterman
who has worked for the county before on contract labor.
for the work that they've done.
Thank you.
And if there's additional hours they put in, they should be paid for that too.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to, pay Steve Peterman and Ivan Mars for their work, that they assisted me with over the holiday weekend, which I think is another thing. Yeah, it was on Friday, right after Thanksgiving, we're on holiday, but we needed to do that in a time where we wouldn't disrupt the business, so I appreciate that. Further discussion?
Yeah, one last thing, because you brought up Thanksgiving, and I mentioned it at the last meeting. But, John Carroll did a great job bringing in, with that contact that we made for him to get the meals up here. And it was not only $40,000 worth of food, it was the meals, and then they gave $250 a head. You saw it in the Sentinel. Sentinel did a good job covering it.
Okay, well, hold on, cause we're in debate of whether or not to pay
Oh,
these guys.
I'm sorry, I thought
Yeah,
we were.
and then I would like
What
to
did I
talk
say?
about that some more. So, further discussion, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay.
Yeah, I jumped the gun, sorry about
Carries.
that.
Okay. And Carrie,
Anyway.
could you pull a couple of vouchers and put their names on them so I do not forget that?
Sure.
We need to get that in the process.
Can
Thank
Ivan,
you.
and what was the other name?
Steve
Peterman.
Peterman, standard spelling. Yeah, Ivan Mars, Steve Peterman. Now, so before we move on then,
Yeah, the point
yeah,
was
your
just to
point was well
reiterate that John did a very good job handling that, got everybody engaged, and had to fend them off for a while because they were late getting it up the hard scrabble because it was too heavy for the truck and slippery, so anyway, that time, so.
yeah.
I think he deserved.
Yeah, great,
just a
great
pat on the
activity,
back, and
and-
we didn't do that last meeting.
I talked to John too, and he, not John Carroll, but the other John that came up with, the ministries, and he said they want to do another deal at Christmas, and I suggested they consider talking to the Lutheran Church to move indoors,
Yeah,
because in December,
hard
who
to
knows?
have it outside.
Yeah, who knows what kind of weather they're gonna run into, but, man, what a great guy, and, they helped out a lot of people. I think we talked about it briefly at our last meeting, but I also stopped over at the
that's why I
county
wanted to
share.
bring it up, we didn't talk about it.
Yeah, so, okay, anything else, sir?
Nope,
Not for me.
We kinda got off on the whole attorney item thing, but anything else for you?
You haven't asked me yet.
Oh,
All
I
kinds
thought
of
we
things.
did.
we
sorry.
are at the,
Oh, we're still on
water
commissioner,
district.
yeah, sorry, sir.
Oh, I was loaded for bear here.
Okay, well, I'll get to you.
We're gonna just
We'll
go right
to
over
your-
your head.
Upper Ark, I just, and you gentlemen may know this, the December meetings, both the Conservancy District and the Enterprise meeting have been canceled. So they're not gonna meet in December, which was good for me. 'cause
helps
I
us
wasn't
all
gonna
out
be
because I
here.
was
I'm
gonna
out of
run
town.
over there after that broadband meeting if we had
Okay,
to.
yeah, no, they
They're
have,
gone.
canceled that, yeah, I'll be out of town, so that's off the books. The next meeting, of course, is in January. Have continued to get some, information from the water courts and from their attorney, about the pending lawsuits, so I've been filing those away. You're welcome to look at them anytime. And I don't know, maybe you guys are getting copies of those also.
getting
Okay.
I'm getting.
All right, good. Anything else on Upper Ark? Good. Go ahead.
Just real quickly, I spent some time with, Commissioner Feld, who's also on
Great.
the board. And I asked him, realistically, are you guys interested in what we have to say? I know our ranchers and farmers have a proposal that we're making, he says we're taking it very seriously. So I was very encouraged by that comment, I just wanted to mention that.
Good.
Yeah, Terry Scanga also, been bugging him, and they are, the reason they've delayed it is because they're doing the engineering on it to see how valid it is.
And I'm fine with that, I just didn't want him I didn't want him to blow off our recommendation. I mean, it's their job to assess it and make that recommendation to the court or not.
Good.
So I want to make sure, so he was amenable to getting it right.
Good, thank you. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll move on.
We'll
Turn
do
the items.
The highlight of the morning.
Hey,
Oh,
now,
I live
alright,
for
perk
it.
up everybody.
All I live for.
Actually, I was going through here, I just found something I wanted to talk about very briefly, cause I got an email from a gentleman named John Hervey, H-E-R-V-E-Y.
Yep, JR, yep.
Oh, so you know him?
Oh, yeah, know him very well.
Alright, because, and I wanted to just, I'm assuming he got my email address probably from you, Kara. Cause normally people, anyway, he was asking me a legal, he wanted legal advice from me, and I responded by saying, I'm the county attorney, I represent you, not citizens in the county, but I did go ahead and answer his question, because it was pretty short and simple about open range and his
Oh, yeah.
horses getting out on Highway 96
Yeah.
and everything, so. But I just wanted to ask, if somebody calls and wants to get in touch with me, find out what they want, you know, if they wanna ask me legal advice, it's not my job to give legal advice to the citizens, okay?
That was probably me,
Okay, I
because
was
somebody called, me and wanted your contact.
Well, you should know better.
Personal email or county email?
It came on the Custer County.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so.
He didn't say what he wanted, he just said,
And I didn't know
needed-
you all knew him,
I need
Oh,
to
yeah.
get in touch with.
And he was here at our
county
last
attorney.
meeting.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was here.
Oh,
He was
okay.
standing in the back.
Well, I answered his question
Okay.
for him, and he was very grateful for that.
Just
Thank you.
as reference, when we were talking about reach, he's the gentleman that said he went off a horse, broke his back, and they flighted him out.
Okay, I had experience.
Yeah.
So anybody, I mean, I have had calls before wanting your phone number or your email. You don't want us to
Well,
give that.
try to find out what they want, I mean,
If it's
maybe
county
somebody,
business.
if
It's fair to ask him what the status is.
But if people just are calling me because I'm the county attorney and they think I had a lot of people think I'm the county prosecutor and they want me to file charges against somebody. So.
I thought you could defend me in
What the
a
heck you
lawsuit.
But if somebody called and said, hey, I have a county business question I wanna ask your attorney,
Yeah,
They
I'll
could do
give it a
that,
try,
yeah.
if, you know, if
Yeah.
it's something, but,
Alright.
and since we heard from our constitutional scholar here who would be just as qualified as from the ones we heard yesterday. I mean, I gotta say, you know, it's so embarrassing, having gone to law school, you think, when you're in law school, you think those law professors are just godlike, but they are up there in their ivory towers and they don't know anything
No
about the
clue.
real world. But it caused me to dig out my own Bible for
Oh,
the
Way to go.
Constitution, that and reading her column in the Sentinel.
Okay, well, at least I'm not in trouble, maybe.
Not yet.
For now.
I was just reading what high crimes and misdemeanors are in a book
Oh,
that I,
yeah.
place a lot of confidence
Yeah.
in, so. Okay, attainable housing, had a lot of emails back before, Brenda over at, Central Colorado Title and Escrow had some questions. One of them was, she wanted to know if Kelly would waive the recording fee. I said probably. I
It's
don't-
in statute that if the
Grantee.
county is grantor or grantee, there's no recording.
Okay, and the same thing with JD issuing the tax certificates and everything, I assume he doesn't, there's no fee for
Right.
doing that either, so.
Right.
The policy, the title insurance policy will be about $415, that'll be the responsibility of Colorado College. The closing cost for them to actually do the closing, Central Colorado, is $250, that's customarily split between both sides, and I said, I think the county will pay its half of that. And I've been communicating with the woman at, Colorado College who's handling this, because Brenda said they thought they'd be able to get everything done, we could close no later than December 20. December 20 is actually the day they go off on Christmas break at CC, so this woman is anxious to get it all done ahead of time. So I told Brenda, if you can get all the paperwork done ahead of time, I'll run it up there if necessary, because they were gonna mail it and it might take some time, but, run it up there and get it signed, and then they can send the check or wire the money, or however they wanna do it, but, so I've been working on that,
Can I tag on to that too?
yeah.
Cause I talked to Brenda this morning, cause she
Okay.
said you told her to call me. And,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
about, cause she asked me if I needed a statement of authority, who was gonna sign, all of that, and I said, well, I didn't know that, I mean, we're the buyers, so what are we signing? And she
Yeah.
said, the transfer declaration, and that goes to JD and all that, and she said, I said, well, why would we need a statement of authority, because we're not the seller, and she said, well, we just always get it from both parties, so I don't know if you guys wanna do, I mean, I don't think it's necessary, and I'm assuming that Tom would sign
Chairman
as
of the board would be
the chairman,
sufficient.
and,
Well, it's gonna
so,
be my recommendation, unless you had some other policy in effect, it's just paperwork for them.
yeah,
And the same thing we've got from Colorado College, I actually have a resolution from them authorizing a particular individual to sign this. And Brenda said that was sufficient, so we've got all that.
Just move on.
So, you know, it's,
it's all good.
we should get it all done before the 20th for sure.
Okay,
Let's see. Oh, Kara got a Cora request from Jordan Hedberg this week, wanting all of the email communications between you and me. And I told her the answer to that is, you know, really simple, that's all confidential, you know, because it had to do with EMS hospital district, the ambulance dispute, and I said, that is all confidential, attorney-client privilege, we're not gonna disclose any of that. I said what he would be entitled to is the letter, and the letter that was approved at our November 13 meeting to make an offer to the hospital district, which apparently they voted on November 21 without ever having an offer. But if that letter is ever actually issued, then certainly he can have that. And the same thing, the letter that you authorized me to draft at our November 27 meeting, which is on the agenda today, so.
That supersedes the other one.
Well, there isn't another.
The other one
never got
rescinded it.
sent.
We
Yeah,
just took, we rescinded it, so
rescinded
there's
it,
no other
so-
letter.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it doesn't
That's right.
exist, but.
Well, and since it wasn't, maybe he wants to have a
It's not
copy.
official, anything.
But, I mean, they voted, as I understand, on the basis of what Lisa Drew told them after that meeting on November 13, they just went ahead and rejected the offer in their own meeting, if the reporting was accurate, that they,
had the offer.
so, okay.
They got court going on today.
no, I think it must be Russ's.
Okay,
Just
that's,
Russ.
Boys.
yeah, those are all the things that I wanted to talk about then, that's all I have.
All right, sir, thank you. Yeah, I read the email from Kara, was that Cora request in person, or did he email that to you, or?
He brought it in.
He brought it
Yeah, I
in
think
to you.
to Kelly, and then I had the.
And we have 72 hours to respond, is that correct?
He said he wasn't in a hurry. I mean,
Okay.
Yes.
you've got that long to
Doesn't
respond,
matter, I
but,
just wonder what the
yeah.
statute says. So, and this says requesting, and I'm paraphrasing here because this is from Kara, requesting all correspondence regarding EMS, Wetmore Ambulance and Hospital Clinic from the commissioners or to the commissioners and Clint. So there's really three things in there, if the
And that's
wording's
the way I
correct.
took it too, not just emails
Between
between
us.
you guys, but any between you guys, between you
Or
and the clinic.
anything regarding, EMS is what I got.
So, and I guess we go back and glean our email, do a
I-
search and,
Well, I assumed, I mean, the way I read it, I thought he wanted to know what we were talking about back and forth.
yeah,
about.
and I didn't get that.
Okay, and but it is, he came in and used the form that they have in their office and filled it in handwritten as to what he
I saw
wanted,
that.
and I wasn't quite clear on what he was asking for.
Yeah.
But as between us, it's very clear that anything I send you, the confidential memos I send you are just that, it's some legal advice. on
If
this.
you were, this is a legal question, if you were carbon copied on something that I happen to send to, let's say, the director of the clinic, is that attorney-client privilege or not?
Not public,
If you send it to the clinic, you put it out there, so
Okay.
yeah, there wouldn't be any privilege there. You're just copying me on something.
Right. And so I'll read what he read on, what he wrote, I'm sorry, on the court request. All correspondence regarding EMS, Wetmore Ambulance and Hospital Clinic from the county commissioners or to TOO, the commissioners and County Attorney Clint Smith. Emails or letters. So to me, I look at that as three different.
It is.
things.
Alright.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not aware of anything that would fall into that.
And I don't think we've had, but I don't,
I think everything that we've done here has been discussion on the record,
been on,
in public meetings.
Right.
in other meetings, like down at the Rancher's Roost over at the, clinic.
But I have a couple of emails where, setting up meetings and things like that, is that what, do you need those? I mean, where I said we'll meet at 10 o'clock on
Says
Wednesday.
he wants it all.
I mean, I guess if you've got all that, we can certainly make that available. I had the
Take me a
impression he
while
was
for-
going for more substance than just, schedule or
Right.
something, but, I
Uh,
don't think
They
he cares
filled it
about
out,
the
it was
schedule.
It'd take me several hours to get all that together,
Yeah,
to talk about going to
and
meetings.
I think he has to pay for that, doesn't he?
Anything that takes you, longer than an hour to get together, the first hour is free, and then anything that you give to him, like if you give him copies, 25 cents a copy. If it's something that you can put on a jump drive or something, then, I don't think there's any charge for that. And your emails, Jay,
Yes, ma'am.
Vernon can help you with.
Okay.
Cause I know, several years ago, the commissioners had a core request that involved their emails, and Chuck, I don't know how he does it, he probably just went through and did some kind of search.
You can do it.
And, so if there is a lot that, it would take you a lot
I
of
don't
time,
think there's a lot.
he might be able to, it might be able to be something he could look up in a fairly short
And
amount
the
of time. I
question,
don't know.
I'm sorry, the question I had is, have we received any kind of formal communication from the hospital district? The board apparently voted at their November 21 meeting, but we learned about it through the paper. There wasn't any
I've
action.
not seen anything.
Okay.
Nor have I.
No,
Interesting also that there is no date, no time and date on this public records request. So,
That he dated it,
He did
yeah,
not,
and that's, I should have dated it, I'll
there
date
is an
that
office usually.
when I received it,
Okay,
yeah,
all right, yeah.
yeah.
Was it Monday?
I'm trying to think,
How far back?
Yeah, I
is it?
think
it
it
was
was
Monday
Monday.
because it was
Yeah.
the same day I was doing the grant.
yeah, I think it was Monday.
All I've seen here, going clear back into the summer, are meeting announcements. Location for EMS workshop, we had an EMS workshop.
Yeah, okay. Well, I probably got 50 or 60 of them, so,
Yeah,
uh,
we got a bunch of them.
but anyway, we'll work on that. Do we provide those to you then, Clint? Does it need to go through our attorney, or does it go straight to?
If there's anything that's
clerk and
questionable
recorder?
to you that you feel might be confidential, have me look at it. But if it's just routine
Give it to
stuff
Kelly.
like that, just give it to
What
me.
about Jay's,
Or to
work with the, company?
Or to Kara.
Who actually
Stuff
had
you worked with the
you?
committee,
No.
you had a
Yeah, I have
stuff
lots
you
of
work, you got a lot of stuff
emails
like
between
that,
myself and the committee when we're gonna meet,
working
stuff
for the
like
EMS
that.
stuff.
Yeah,
Alright,
Any.
I'll get it together.
let me
No
read
problem.
again, but,
They come to
Yeah.
me, I
It's
don't know
over
how
an
that
hour.
ever.
all correspondence
happened.
regarding EMS.
How much can I charge over an hour, cause it's gonna take me more than an hour. Not
I'll
on
have
the
to,
county.
I'll have to look, it's in that policy, we have a policy.
Okay, right.
And,
How far
it
back
says in that
is it?
policy how much.
What-
Well,
I wanna
it says
say
all.
$25
Well,
an hour, but I'm not
Well,
sure.
Any,
Well, I think
no,
Jay should charge attorney fees.
Any-
I think
About
so.
300, 350
Yeah.
an hour, yeah.
Easy.
any documentation in the year of 2019, nothing prior to that.
Oh, it's in
I
2019.
have it, and I will put those together, I'll just.
So we gonna send it
No.
electronically or
Well, whatever you
copy,
wanna
hard
do,
copy?
up to you. Whatever you do, give it to Kara,
I can send her all
and
the,
she'll deal with the Cora.
I mean, I got a lot
See,
of
that's confusing.
meeting
Karen,
requests here.
Yeah, what do we do about phone messages that went back and forth?
It applies to that as well.
They wanted correspondence, and he didn't talk about,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Phone
you didn't mention
conversations.
phone in there, so.
Okay.
No, but if you send an email,
The emails
Through your
are fine
phone.
printing out, but
even through
I'm
your
not sure I
phone.
know how to print out a phone contact thing.
Yeah, I send mine to my computer and print them out from here.
You can print them off your phone, you just gotta
Okay.
hook up to the.
I'll look at it, if there's anything of
Okay.
any substance at all, I'll figure out and get it to you, well, to Karen.
But everything I have on my phone is on the computer.
Okay,
Yeah.
alright.
Okay.
On the computer.
Thank you, sir. So, anything else from attorney items?
no.
All right, thank you, appreciate it. Administrative
But
assistant.
before you leave that, so
I'm
what's
good.
our deadline
Nothing.
to get it to?
Well, 72 hours from Monday, so it'll be tomorrow. No? Well, it's when we get them, right? Or is it 72 hours from when he submits them because we were out of town? Well, may have to
I-
look at
it's,
statute.
the clock
When I-
starts running from the time she
That I-
receives
And
it.
which was
That was
Monday
last
afternoon.
But-
Monday, so it's expired.
I mean, routinely, if it's something that, like during the election part, she gets a request, she contacts and says, I need more time, people are usually.
Yeah.
Right.
And Jordan already indicated apparently to you.
Yeah, that he wasn't in a huge hurry for it, and so, I mean,
So let's
you
make
guys
our
were gone
deadline,
for
whatever
those
it
3
is.
days, so, yeah,
I would assume if we get
I
it to
think
them the
you
first
get it
part of
by
next
next
week,
week,
it's not
yeah.
gonna be a problem.
yeah.
Okay, that's where it
So let's pick a date and time to have that done then.
Can you have it done by next Monday, or is that too soon?
I can have.
Yeah, Monday.
Close the business Monday.
Okay.
Then
if you
he
come
won't
across
get it until
anything-
Tuesday.
Yeah, if you come across anything though that you think is questionable about attorney-client, let me know,
Right.
but I doubt that there's
Okay.
anything you're gonna find like that.
So close the business on Monday. Does that work, Joe? Okay. Yeah, so let's, I would assume you'll create some kind of a file and everything we send to you, you can just send it to that file and then dump it on jump drive. And he said he will come here and pick it up.
Okay.
We might shoot him an email and tell him it'll be available.
Okay, I'll send
And
it.
then usually when I get a core request that I do, everything that's in that, I keep that together and I have it in a file, so
Okay.
that you have all that.
Yes, I will do that as well. Thank you.
And do you need a copy of all that eventually, or?
No, I think as long as Kara.
I know.
Change
Cora
your.
the Kara.
Hey, all of y'all say
You're
my
the
name.
Kara
What's
request.
my name?
Kara.
We got a Kara request and we'll have to
Yeah.
get it to Cora.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll take
It
it.
doesn't help that my granddaughter's name is Cora.
Oh,
Also,
really?
so that's really
That
confusing
is
for me.
confusing,
Yeah.
Family name?
All right, so we will move on. And nothing you said, ma'am?
No.
Okay. All right, public comment?
No, harder picking that name.
Any public comment this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you,
Now I
sir?
have to repeat the whole attainable housing thing again.
That's right.
I've been sending him copies.
I could say, he probably knows, but.
Yeah.
Staff reports, we will, would you mind swinging that door back open, sir? We can open it now. We just closed it because there was some.
Riff-raff out there, looks like
There was some-
Rusty, there he is.
There
Bang.
was some noisy riff-raff in the hall, we had to close it up.
There he is, the man of the hour.
Hello, sir.
Good morning, how are you?
Good.
I'm
Good to see you.
good, thank you.
I'm telling you right off the bat, alright? Commissioner Candid is a bulldog when it comes to Four Rivers. Oh, he was up in their grill about wanting a radio for your new skid steer.
And not only that, they cut us the power, so we want the radio for sure now.
Oh, he was on
He
him
rated
now.
it.
He was on him like stink on a June bug. I was proud of him.
Good on him.
Yeah,
Quid pro quo, right
stink on a
there.
June bug.
Do June bugs stink?
Oh, terrible.
Oh, yes.
You sanitize it, it's usually
How are you?
stink on something else.
2019.
Huh?
Stink on a stink bug.
Stink
Now,
bugs.
stink bugs, I know.
Stink bugs are the worst,
Yeah, I
that's
hate
exactly
bugs.
right. But, you want one of these, Miss Kell?
Please.
So what's your holiday schedule, Rusty?
You got another,
2018? 2018?
Holy.
you got enough, nope.
Well, she can have these.
After you get done?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you wanna do first, 19? Or look at them both?
Yeah, it's pretty close to last year. It'll probably be 220, I imagine, by the end of the month, hopefully.
Quarterly report, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you've entered data into the fourth quarter as to date, I'm assuming then.
Yeah, this is just through November.
Here,
It's current as of the 30th, is that right?
Right.
December,
Yeah, we had, because I didn't print this until we had a little business.
okay. Oh, I see the difference in the numbers, yeah. So it does include some business in December.
Right.
But we'll get another one eventually at the end of the year,
Yes,
or
we will,
beginning of
right.
next year, gotcha, okay.
Right.
So if we look at everything prior to December, then it would be an accurate reflection.
Right.
Gotcha. Down a little though, aren't we?
Mhm. November was a couple thousand.
Yeah, just, that's because of those roll-off containers that they're not bringing out that they used
Mhm.
to.
Mhm. Third quarter was up compared to last year, as was second, and, yeah, the second and third quarter was up a little, not significant, but. So, got a question for you, really.
Yeah,
So you're saying as to date, 2019, you've turned in $209,000 in cash
right,
and $874
right.
and 10
In 10
cents.
cents.
That's it.
Oh, that's really right. And you're just not seeing these construction roll-off dumpsters like you expected.
Yeah, right.
Hmm.
Right.
Why is it? You know,
I don't know what's going on, because that's
they're building more.
bulk disposals deal. I don't know if their trucks have been broke down that much, I don't know what they've got going on there. Just don't see them, because when Leonard Allman was over there, we had them roll-offs every day.
Hmm.
Are
Wow.
you getting any from him?
No, they don't have a roll-off truck.
They don't know. Thought they picked up.
They just have one trash truck.
I know they got their trash truck.
Okay. What else,
I have a guy, an employee, that's going to get surgery on his shoulder the 21st of January. He's gonna be out, could be out for 12 weeks.
Wow.
maximum of 12 weeks,
Maximum.
correct? Because that's what the FMLA is.
Is that an
Maybe
on the
Gary
job-
can stand in for him.
Is that an on-the-job injury?
No.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, we had some discussion at the CCI conference that we just got back from about this whole FMLA thing, and I don't understand it all, believe me. But do you feel like you're gonna have to replace him?
Well, we're gonna have to get somebody hired up, I would.
Sorry, I didn't mean replace, I mean
Temporary.
Temporary.
temporarily.
I think that we better get somebody that wants to take over that landfill. When I leave,
Okay, you just
which could
jumped
be.
a
You're
whole nother
switching-
set
you're
of
switching.
rails,
Could be.
so.
You can still
Could be.
discuss that, but
Yeah.
Which could be April.
Okay, so let's go back though. My question stands, do you believe we need to find somebody temporarily to take his position while he's out? Or can you get by?
No, I think that we should get somebody that's gonna be there permanently.
To replace the shoulder
That's
surgery
gonna
person?
replace me.
I know that, but I think they're two different conversations.
And then when this person is there, then we'll have
Well,
I
you're
got
trying
you.
to
I
roll
got
it in
you.
to get that guy,
You're
he'll
saying
roll in
let's
then.
find a replacement, let him fill that slot in, sorry,
That's
that's where you were headed, okay.
Right.
Cause he'll lap into April.
Yeah. Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's gonna be 3 months, you know,
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah, you were thinking faster than I could process, but I got you now.
So the answer is yes to Tom's question and yours.
and so we can discuss this again, but I'm thinking probably, you know, the 1st of February, we should probably have somebody.
On board.
So we gotta figure out when we're gonna advertise his position,
Which will need to be fairly
pretty
quickly.
quick.
Technically, council, I defer to you, correct me if I
Uh-oh.
misspeak.
Sure can't do
Technically,
it.
we cannot advertise for that position until we have something in writing. For your
Letter of
position.
resignation, okay, yeah, good idea.
Oh, now wait a minute, don't be,
See
don't
later.
don't be so hasty.
I quit.
But I believe that's what the law says, that we cannot advertise for a position until it's been officially announced about a pending vacate of that, but.
I think that's correct, but I'm not really sure.
I'm not sure.
It'd be
So
better
just in
practice to do it
general
that way.
Conversation, I would encourage you to pick a date and time that we can function from.
Like you said, sometime in April, is it the 30th or is it?
Yeah.
end of
So,
May?
you know, we don't need an answer
No, I was just
today,
saying,
but
I mean,
eventually,
think
yeah, I
about
think
it.
we're gonna need, so then we can post that position. We can't post a position, I don't believe, that's
Well, unless we
not
know a date.
been notified, that we haven't been
I
notified.
think, yeah, you do need
So,
a formal notification.
But, so you're suggesting though that if and when we bring a person on, that person fills your void in this position,
Right.
and then reverts back to supervisor, director, what is your official title?
Manager.
Manager. And he goes out the 21st, probably 20, whatever that ends up being.
21st of January,
Is his surgery date, so he'd
Right.
probably work up until then.
yeah.
So we need to have.
February,
somebody-
March, get 60 days and then you'll go all of April, sounds like.
Good.
So I suppose we need to have some discussion about a job description, job title,
Right.
salary range, how, and I would appreciate input from you on that. And then I'm assuming the 4 of us, I'm just talking out loud here, Commissioner Prince could conduct interviews and,
Like we do.
cause this would be a commissioner hire.
I think for supervisor, it makes sense for 3 of us to be involved. If it was someone working as an assistant, kinda like we had with
Yeah.
the road
It's
position,
resting.
then I'm fine with the supervisor making, but since we're talking supervisor, I
Right,
think it
that's
makes
my
sense for
point,
3 of
and I
us.
think,
That's right.
and ask Rusty to assist us in that.
Absolutely,
Yeah. We're
absolutely.
good with that, so,
That'll just cost.
no problem, money's not an issue,
That's what I was
not the
thinking.
kind of money you're talking
That's what I
about.
was thinking.
$20, $30, no big deal.
Okay, good, fine.
Cheeseburger.
Yeah, cheeseburger in paradise, so,
Right?
but to Commissioner Canada's point, if we wanna bring that person on 1st of February,
But payroll's going up until,
we probably need to act on that. Try to get something in the paper yet in December. That's what I'm thinking. If we wait until January, we post it for 2 weeks, then that gives us 2 weeks to get interviews done and hire somebody and get an acceptance to our offer. That's a little tight.
I would think for the kind of position that Rusty has, we ought to go outside of just local. So it may take longer, we may wanna, I mean, I'm sure I'm guessing, is there an association of landfill in Colorado, and maybe someone in another county would be interested in taking your job, or, I don't know, I would hate to just restrict it to Custer County, advertising.
Yeah, you know, it's, they do post it on Swana, and that takes over the whole country.
Okay, well, that's what I'm referring to.
But I don't know if you wanna go that far, I don't know.
Why not?
Doesn't matter, be alright.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have some local interest, but I've always maintained
And we
due
look at
diligence, we
local,
need to post it at
Right
least
everywhere.
outside of Custer County. I don't know about nationally, but if that's what it does, it's what it does. You don't have a state association with
Yeah,
landfill
and
managers?
there's Colorado too.
If you could
it's
get us
just
that
Colorado.
information, that'd be great, or I can look it up. Well,
Cause I'm a member, so,
If you don't have a copy of your job description, maybe ask Big Donna for a copy of it and you can update it.
actually I do.
Okay, if you can update it, be great.
should have a cardboard recycling part of it in it,
No,
see?
no, that's for the recycling
Yeah.
coordinator.
Well, that,
He doesn't
yeah, but
manage.
he gotta know he's gonna manage it, not just teach
The
it.
new guy wouldn't manage that, that's still the recycling, right?
Yeah.
Can you meet back with us on the 18th?
Sure,
So,
yes, I can.
we can do it under new business,
New
or
business.
just,
Yeah, think
I
about
would
it.
guess
Is that here or
maybe-
Wetmore?
no, here.
Here.
Discussion
Is there a
with
meeting, wait a
land,
minute, did we?
we're
we
done
do
with
this?
Wetmore,
That's-
yeah,
that's
we're done with
Wetmore.
Wetmore, first of the year. So we're done
For the
meeting.
moment, we're done with
Stop.
Whitmore.
Let me
Get the
rephrase
presses,
that.
rephrase that one.
We are done meeting in Wetmore for the remainder of 2019.
Thank you.
So let's phrase
Don't
that,
get
discussion with the landfill manager, about hiring process. We'll go from
Yeah,
there. We're done with Wetmore.
take a look at your resume and update it.
Yeah, well, okay, so would you be in a position to bring us a date by the middle of December or not? And actually, we would need something in writing by the middle of December if we're gonna vote to post it.
Absolutely.
That's what I believe.
Absolutely. Then
If not, we can
We're
hold
gonna have
off.
to wait and
But,
move things that way.
Just saying that I'm retiring and such date from Custer County.
perfect.
Yeah, it's all,
All
I
you
mean, just a
need.
one statement deal. Then we know we're
And
legal
thank you very
to,
much.
You don't have to go that far.
Okay,
Good.
well,
Yes.
And nobody's holding to a date, so you can pick a date.
Uh,
If it goes down further, then we gotta worry about how we cover the vacancy you got.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, you know, you could pick a date, you can retire, you can also unretire, you know, we take our approval of that, but you could say, you know, I would like to stay on till X time. I mean, you pick a date so we can move forward, but it,
yeah,
you know.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. Although I really would hate to have additional payroll for a long period of time. You know, if you said, you know, I think I'm gonna stay till the end of 2020, and we've already hired a replacement, now we're gonna have a little budgetary problem.
right.
Might even have a personal problem. So, yeah, so we haven't budgeted for this either. So we're talking about duplicative salary for 2 months, basically, I'm guessing.
Could be.
Yeah,
Okay,
Right. That's
okay, so
part
we'll
of
need to
our
talk with
operation.
Ms. Donna about that.
It's part of what we do.
Yeah, that's right.
And you'll come with a salary range?
for the new employee,
For that position, forget the employee, but for that position from this day forward.
Get with Donna and figure out.
Cause these
Yeah.
open-ended salaries are killing us financially.
You look at comparable sized counties with comparable sized landfills and, you know, we need to be realistic, fair and equitable, but I don't think we, you know,
But who better to do that than this man sitting right here?
yeah, we can do that.
Okay, thanks.
We'll come up with something,
Buy your
some
lunch,
kind of number.
buy your lunch,
The range.
buy your lunch, cause I know we're talking a lot of overtime and we need some brevity in our meeting this morning.
So, and we do have kind of an issue, cause he's the only other guy that can operate a belly dump, aren't you, around here?
Scraper.
scraper. I mean,
No, those guys at Road Bridge are nice.
thought, Gary had, you have a couple of them?
No, I gave
No.
mine to Kelly.
We don't have any equipment like that, but we've
I know.
got people that have
Yeah.
operated
Can
it
do
on
it.
Rusty.
I thought Rusty was,
I and a couple other guys.
He's the preferred
Man.
method, all right. Go-to guy. All right, sir, if you would do that, that would help us out.
Okay.
And I appreciate you coming to the table with that now, so that we can start making plans, cause the calendar will go by in a hurry.
Yeah, it's moving pretty fast, so.
I knew it was coming, and
Then another question is to the two commissioners and yourself, if the calendar works out, is 2 months sufficient transitional period to train somebody? Is it too much time? Is
I
it not
might
enough
have to be
time?
landfill consultant for the rest of the year.
Ooh,
he forgot the word voluntary.
thank you, I'm all in on that, yeah, I'd love to have you help out, yeah, All right,
match in kind.
so if we can do that and meet with you
Take
again on the
whatever he wants.
18th, that'd be huge,
Yeah.
cause we better get rolling.
We'll meet on the 18th.
Okay.
It's all deductible. We'll write you a letter saying, here's the value of your services. You better do it off your retirement. We-
Services be worth the weight of that
Yeah.
paper, won't it? Anything else, sir?
No, I think that about
All right.
does it for this day.
Okay.
Then I will be back on the
Good.
18th.
Yes, thank you, appreciate it.
And we're behind
You'll
times
be
here,
doing us a
guys.
favor, so, all right, sir, thank you,
Okay.
have a wonderful day.
Yep, you guys have a
want
good
that
rest
new
of the day.
pickup truck as a going away present, right?
Well, he takes
it Yeah. with him,
doesn't
You don't want that new pickup truck as a going away present?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. All
Took us
right, thank you,
45
sir,
minutes to get
appreciate
through
it.
15
Road and Bridge,
Really?
bye, golly, look at here. How
He
are
has a
you?
notebook.
Good.
Good morning.
I'll start your homework.
Okay.
Where are you going?
Morning, Gary.
Good.
How's things going in your world?
Good.
Good,
You're welcome.
good.
Hey, when you're done, Tom and I sat in a pretty good meeting on road and bridge stuff. I brought some stuff back for him.
Okay.
Previously, if I may, before you
No,
go
go
to
right
it,
ahead.
previously, we've had road and bridge supervisors attend the CCI meetings because it's also the
Cars.
Cars meeting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I sat in on 2 of their meetings, one because I had no idea what RIP-RAP was and I wanted to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And the other was another session I was real interested in. I had no idea what it was. I said, I gotta go find out what this is. RIP-RAP, whatever, anyway. But there were a lot of people, road and bridge people from different counties that were there, and
Mhm.
it sounded like they had a tremendous amount of information that was disseminated. So I'm just thinking, you know, maybe you wanna consider that sometime in the future.
Yeah,
we
we-
talked about that before.
Yeah, we've talked about going to them in the past, but something's come up and I wasn't able to make it, and
Roger went last year.
yeah, I think Roger went last year, and that was the year that I wasn't able to go, but yeah, I'd like to attend those if it works out.
Good. I just wanted to mention, I thought it seemed very worthwhile to me.
Yeah, I think they are,
Colorado Association of Road Supervisors and Engineers.
You know, I would always wondered what that was. I was just embarrassed to ask.
Yeah,
what that
It's
I
hard.
was too, but I
Doesn't
asked.
make, it does not make sense when you look at it. But, you know.
They told me, so. All right, what you got, sir?
I need to get this signed by you 3, it's just our, inventory of the roads that we're gonna
Oh.
send to CDOT for DTEF reimbursement monies.
Okay,
We done this
so
every year.
Commissioner,
Yes, we do it every year, yeah, it has to be done every year.
Commissioner Kanda and I have a question for you.
Okay.
How many miles?
Lane miles, let's do centerline miles of paved roads, paved being asphalt or chip seal in Custer County.
With, including Wetmore, we've got probably 46.
Now I got Wetmore, I forgot.
Yeah, we've got
about
some
that.
down there we take care of.
How much was your number?
46.
46.
That's double what we thought.
Really?
Is that lane miles or centerline
No,
miles?
that's center lane miles.
Wow,
That
so
lane miles is-
52
it's
or
90.
That jacks the
92.
cost way up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much unpaved?
We've got 360 total, so it's 200, or I'm sorry, 318.
Yeah.
Wow, look at him do
or
that
three
now.
12.
I know, he's on it this
He
morning.
goes to
It's
sleep
early
with
too,
it.
this is early.
He sees every washboard in it.
Yeah, not that, what I just asked you had anything to do with this, really, it was a subject come up during the conference, and
Yeah,
we
it did.
guessed we had 15 miles,
Yeah.
centerline miles of
Looking
paved
at
roads.
Hermit and,
Yeah, in
stuff
fact,
that we had.
I've got it all down on a map, I've got everything,
Yeah,
on a map, but anyway, I can send it to you.
yeah, I
See
certainly
exactly.
never thought about Wetmore, I was thinking about up
See.
here.
Remember, you,
What
you
would-
said we're
yes,
done
up
with
here.
that part.
Yeah, we're done with that part.
We don't have a lot, more on the sale.
No, but you got San
6 miles
Isabel
from
and
us,
some
there's
stuff.
32.
So,
Is there 30?
chip seal, oh, I forgot Lake Dewey's Road, I was thinking,
And Oak Creek.
Rosita?
Yeah, we got Colfax,
yeah,
Yeah, we-
Rosita, that's right.
Colfax
Colfax,
is long.
Macy, we've got Schoolfield, we've got
Yeah.
Muddy, we've got Kettle Lane,
Yeah.
we've got the Pines, we've got Copper Gulch, we've got Oak Creek Graves.
4 miles everywhere and
Yeah,
adds
there-
up.
Oh, yeah, it sure does.
Yeah. Well, we just went through a rough calculation in this session at the CCI conference, and the Colorado Pavement Association, whatever that's who the speaker was, by his calculations, we should be earmarking $180,000 a year just for maintaining 15 miles of
Oh,
paved
my
roads.
gosh.
And, so I said, yeah,
Talk to
that's
you.
not happening in Custer County, and everybody laughed. They said it doesn't happen in any of our counties, but they had a formula based on square footage. Guys, can you imagine spending $180,000 a year on 15 miles? That was just on 15 miles. You triple that if it's 45.
540.
So that'd be $540,000 a year just to maintain existing, nothing new, and not dirt roads. That was just to maintain those paved
He
roads.
said he had another formula for the dirt. You probably ought to get that from him. So,
All right, well, let's
it was
move
worth
on.
listening to.
Sorry, I
and the
kinda-
philosophy was great. So that's why I want to talk to you. He's got a bunch of stuff we can discuss.
Kind of digress. Chair would entertain a motion on certifying the HUTF miles.
I move we certify Gary's HUT miles for 360 total miles, 360.647.
Been moved and seconded that we certify to CDOT our HUTF miles.
So there's 3 categories. One's for 360.647, and there's 20 and 3/4, and then 13.2 miles
We've got some,
that are non-HUT.
we've got some Forest Service roads, and
So
we've
the,
got some city roads.
So it'll be 381
380.
for HUTF, right?
Yeah, but we only received the funding for the 360.
Okay.
So 360 is only the funding. These are non-funded ones.
Oh, street.
They're just
maintained.
certifying what they have.
Right, yeah, some of them are,
So
equipment
what-
and,
So it's miles of arterial streets and miles of local streets. Total is 360 plus 6.
yeah, we take care of it.
Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of authorizing or certifying 360.6 miles of HUTF roads, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries.
Colorado crushers are moving in this morning.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
You gonna crush some now?
yeah.
Good.
They were up here doing stuff for Camp Beach, and
Okay.
got his all done, so they moved from his Boyd pit down south by Centennial Ranch.
Oh, really?
Us this morning, and I've yet to speak with them since they started moving in at running fast.
Good. Would you sign that, please? Come in, I'll say goodbye to you. I know you're heading out. You guys go all right this morning?
Everything went really good.
Perfect, Mike Horton. And you,
Thanks,
so,
Chief, for
Mike,
everything.
My pleasure, my
heading
friend.
back to Indiana. Be careful, sir. Thank you for stopping by.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right. We're just signing the document,
All right.
so, all right, buddy,
I'll
take
let
care.
you know when we're back home. Okay.
This is the quote that I got from Bruckner's and Rush Truck Center on waterfront.
Okay.
You want one of these, Clint?
Wow. Pretty intense, isn't it?
It is, the truck itself,
Yeah, give one.
the truck itself, it was more than what I thought.
Let's see, in 2018, when we bought our 3 trucks, they ran 122,552, so they've gone up 50.
Tanked or not?
This is
Non-tanked. The 122 was non-tanked,
correct, yeah.
so they've gone up a little.
Yeah, they've gone up $600.
What's your preference here?
I'd much rather go with that Mac.
I would assume you get a year newer and.
Yeah, it's a year newer, and they're just, I think they're more suitable for our off-road use.
Okay. Okay. Chair would entertain a motion.
You go with the Mack truck?
Question before we, if we
Okay.
may please, before we do that.
Mm-hmm.
Is this gonna be an outright purchase or a lease purchase?
That's something we can, I would just soon do an outright purchase. It was,
That's what we talked about before, I thought we agreed.
we
Yeah,
did
that's what I
budget.
thought it was, I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that
Correct. We did
when the
budget
motion's
money
made, it's
it.
for an outright purchase, not a lease
Right.
purchase.
Alright, so I move that we, authorize this expenditure for a Mack truck for Gary's, quote of $158,065 to purchase that truck.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Been moved and seconded to purchase a 2021 Mack water truck for Road and Bridge 158,065. Discussion?
Is it possible that we, or should we consider maybe adding a little bit to that in case there's some incidentals that we're not
What
not
did they tell you on
anticipated
this
in the price?
price, Gary?
Could come out of his budget if it is. It
Okay.
shouldn't be
I'm fine.
significant, but.
Yeah, it's his, this is the main thing, it's his budget's already been approved, and he's got it.
Well, that and company Bruckner's, as well as Colt Industries, the manufacturer the tank and put it on, anything above and beyond, they absorb that. Cause once they make this quote, they
Yeah.
stand by that, so.
Well, I was thinking maybe you were gonna get a decal on the side or mud
Yeah.
flaps or something. I was just thinking, usually when I'm thinking like a consumer, I buy a car and they
Yeah.
throw, I gotta buy this, that kind of stuff. I'm just wondering, I hate to hamstring you. If it's $2,000 more, I don't wanna say, oh, you can't buy it because we didn't authorize that.
Right.
That's all I'm concerned about.
But he's using his own budget, we don't have to authorize.
Well, exactly, and it, between the mud flaps and the decals, it's gonna be less than $500.
Okay,
It's
that's
not a
fine.
large amount.
That's
in the
fine. It was
overall
just a-
scheme of
It's
things.
just a comment.
Sure.
It's a good point.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Further discussion? We'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
What's the engine in the Detroit?
No, it's
I'm
not.
amazed this was
Mack
supposed
engine.
to.
I know.
$445.
Four,
Mack
okay,
engine.
good.
$300, less than $300 difference, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Okay, got that taken care of, sir. A
Okay.
perfect example, gentlemen, of why we have possible action items under staff reports right there.
Oh, did I get that, thing?
Yeah.
Did Kelly or anybody get a copy of that?
She said she didn't.
Certified HUTFs? Probably, and then we better stick a copy of it in here too.
Well, I can find a copy of it.
Okay.
That'll work.
Easy,
That's all I've got.
easy. Dropping that money like no problem.
Makes me sweat spending money like that.
And just to recap, I mean, I think we all believe that's what we have to do to get these roads improved, right?
Oh,
Your
absolutely.
blade hands are sitting there waiting for water,
That's right.
so.
And that is exactly what, we had this discussion earlier, Commissioner Cannon and I, about getting our tax money on the roads and elsewhere for the county, that's why they're paying it. This is exactly what we ought to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I could mull this over for 6 more months
Yeah.
and I would be right back here saying this is the best way to spend our money on this.
No, this is the right thing, in my mind.
All right, sir, everything else looks reasonable to me,
And
so
Okay?
we're good?
Yep.
Okay. Just real quick, I wanna throw out something, ask you to give it some thought. I think the commissioners are gonna give consideration, we have to, because we've been asked to do that, about how we're gonna handle,
sick leave all the time.
sick leave, accumulated vacation and sick leave time that's beyond what we can pay out
Oh, okay.
upon retirement. It's clearly spelled out in our personnel policy, the number of hours that an employee can accumulate. You have an employee that's significantly over that. So at some point, we're gonna have to have a discussion about bringing that back into line with our policies, personnel policy. 480 and 360, I believe, but, and I've got it, I could look it up, but I just think that eventually we need to put this back on the agenda and have a conversation with all the supervisors of these departments to make sure our employees don't have more hours on the books than what our policy allows for.
So use it or lose it is sort of the
Pardon?
I thought we would have a
Workshop, yes.
Yeah, and Sherry and I talked about that with, we've got 2 employees that have gone over the maximum allowed sick leave. But anybody that's on board right now, they're not gonna go above the maximum allowed. So, I mean,
Right, you
that's
use
how.
it, you either use it or you lose it if you accumulate more.
Right, yeah. Now, I'll just throw something out where I came from. What they used to do is instead of, what they did was, if you had your maximum amount of sick leave built up, what they would do is, you typically get 1 day a month for your sick leave. And what they would do is if you were built up to your maximum, they would, if you had 2 more months that you worked, didn't get any sick leave for it, they gave you like a half a day or 1 day vacation.
That's something we're talking about.
So anyway, that's something to consider.
Yeah, I think we can have that conversation. It's 160 and 272 is our payout numbers. They can carry 480 and 360, I think. But we've got some employees that are over that, so we're gonna have to work on that. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up so you can give that some thought if you haven't already, and I think we'll schedule a workshop after the first of the year. We're still gonna have to make a decision about one of your employees and we'll get that done. Okay? All right, sir, thank you. Have a great day today.
Yep, thanks, Gary.
See you, Gary. Well, I just would love to speak with the Department of Human Services this morning.
Oh, good, I'm glad you are. No,
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
oh, it's just been crazy since we came back from Thanksgiving, so it's just been crazy.
Were you able to get into your office with that new?
We were able to get in the office,
Okay.
yeah, and do a
Very
little
good.
dusting and that type of stuff, so.
You know, those work crews don't
They
clean
didn't
up after.
clean
No, they
themselves.
don't, you know, they did some, but.
Go ahead, yeah.
No, it was fine.
Oh,
It
I
was-
thought now that work crew can get busy on that new table in here.
That's
Right.
up next.
You're gonna
Yes,
get a
sir.
new table?
Yes,
What's
we
wrong
are.
with this one?
Too small.
There may be room.
Oh, crap.
Oh, make it wider? I mean, I don't know.
We're gonna
Make it
extend,
shorter,
we're
so
gonna
I-
actually give
Put my
these
chin
two
up.
folks their own table space.
Wow.
They have their own now.
Clint and I are moving up in the world.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
Look at you go.
All
Okay.
right, so anything shaking and baking?
No, nothing's shaking and baking.
Okay.
Nothing is shaking and baking.
I ran into a gal at CCI who was very pleased that you and I attended their
Oh,
childhood development. I forgot the name of that down in
Well,
Kansas City that
who
we
did you
went
run
to, but-
into?
Oh,
oh, see, you don't know. Okay. Well,
No.
yes.
I introduced myself. She said, "I know. I met you at we're so glad you guys were there." Little
Okay.
blonde-headed gal.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mr. Prince, you got anything on your mind?
I've read this morning that there may be major changes to SNAP, that President Trump is talking about doing something with that. I'm wondering if you are A, aware of it, and B, what kind of impact it might have on our county. You don't know yet?
I haven't heard anything
Okay.
about that.
Okay.
He said if
Right.
you're able to work, there are certain criteria, you don't get the food stamps, you have to go to work and should.
Right. They're trying to get
Oh.
people who are workable and just choose not to work to go to work.
You
A
get
great
comfortable.
concept,
Oh,
but I just didn't know how that would affect
Wouldn't affect,
Custer County.
young mothers or whatever.
no,
And other-
it's called an employment first, and if you're between this age and this age, and, yeah, you're able to go to work, there's criteria to it.
They're gonna change that criteria, make it a little.
Oh, are they?
To make it much
Make it a little
stricter.
more stringent, so that
Oh,
they have
okay.
to go to work or they don't get the.
Yeah, well, what it was now is they could draw benefits for 3 months, and then if they weren't working, they were kicking them off.
Okay.
And that's what they were doing. But it's been pretty, some counties are exempt from having to do that because of the unemployment rate, because you can't have people go to work if there's no employment. And there's been a lot going on with it, and it's been back and forth, and the state's actually, running the employment first for our county, but I don't know what they're doing. They made it's a weird thing, because they made it mandatory.
I think they signed it, didn't you? When,
So, I'm not sure what
Jay-
they're doing with it, I haven't heard
Sounds
much about it
right.
lately.
Alright, well, can we go
But
through
once I
your-
know something, I'll let you know, because I
I'm just
haven't.
curious how it's gonna finish, but.
Yeah, but I don't
this
know,
will be-
I don't know yet, so, oh no, that's okay, you can,
We're running a little behind.
Oh,
Running
okay.
way behind.
Yeah.
well, let's move right along, everything's
Yeah.
fine, okay, really, everything
Okay.
everything's fine, we're doing okay,
I looked through, I didn't have any questions.
Yeah, and-
with what little I know about it,
The
but.
first-
One that jumped out at me, I gotta find it.
okay. The first leap payment came out the end of November 27th, and we had 134 households on.
Wow.
Last year, the November payment, we had 115. So, yeah, it's up, and so. And this month, I'm seeing a lot of people coming in, they're needing emergency services for propane, they're needing it for rent, they're needing it for a lot of things. End of the month, end of the year, end of the year thing, I guess. But anyhow, yeah, definitely this month I have had more people in for emergency services than I've had for a while now. But, and like I said, yeah, it's crazy time for us right now because it's just been really busy since we've been back in. The month of December is always hard for redeterminations because when they put Obamacare in and people became eligible, the enrollment started in December. So all these people have to do a redetermination once a year, and it hits in December. So we have massive redeterminations. It's a busy time, and then Social Security does their update to their amount that they do their COLA change update. That affects anybody that we have on that doesn't automatically update. It used to be we'd have 10, 15, last year we had over 50. So we have to go in and update all of those cases, besides trying to get all these redeterminations. It's like massive amount in December. So if you see us somewhere all running around like this, you'll know why. We're trying to get this stuff done. It's not, yeah, and we've just had a lot of people applying, and it's just been kind of chaotic. This first week of December has been a little hectic in our department, so. Did you find what you were looking for, Jay?
I think I read it wrong.
Oh, okay,
So
okay,
I'm looking, I know where it was and it looks fine.
Oh, okay,
It wasn't
okay.
right, but thank you.
okay.
How's your staffing? Are you doing okay?
We're doing okay. I could, even if I needed another person, I don't know where we would put them.
Gotcha.
We would have to have a table, which.
We'll have to take out the wall to make more
You
room.
would
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
there
take
you
out,
go.
and there are times like this month, I think, it would be nice to have a half-time person who could help us do this. But honestly,
Okay.
we don't have the room. I would love
Just
to
worried.
have another
Worried
half-time
about
person
you,
in there,
that's
but I don't see how we could possibly do it.
We
Yeah.
failed to get the
Yeah, tell me about that.
certification of, I'm looking back at Miss Kara.
I know,
I thought we had that under a possible action item on DHS this morning, but we do not. Unless I'm looking at an old agenda, let me see. No, that's okay, we're gonna go ahead and do it anyway.
okay, I'm sorry, that was
That's
my
okay.
fault.
Cause I thought, well, maybe we moved it down to new business, but I didn't see it there either, so. So we need to certify that the Custer County Human Services Department is hitting benchmarks. There's the document for it.
Have you seen that? You can look at
I
mine.
got it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
I saw that
did you
somewhere.
get,
Yeah, it should have been with, yeah.
That's it.
and so I spoke briefly this morning with Miss Laura about that. and, do it every year. It's kind of standard business, so.
It is standard business.
I would move that we certify Custer County Human and Social Services Office, to be in compliance with CDHS.
It's their, yeah,
Guidelines.
compliance for their county personnel and.
Yeah, for the training and all that.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to certify, the certification of compliance for 2020 for, DHS. Discussion. Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed nay. Motion carries. I think this just needs one signature, correct?
I think so.
Can you get me a copy of that?
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Done.
thank you.
Okay. Do you want the signed copy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got an idea.
Have you sign it?
I just think we need to put possible action item on all of them, then we don't have to worry about it, but.
I was thinking
Oh, that's a
exactly
great
the
idea.
same
Oh,
thing.
see, I think that's a great idea.
Staff
I have
reports.
nothing to say about
Yeah,
it.
right
at
at the
staff
top.
Just thought I'd throw my-
reports, possible action
Okay,
item, we're
I know
done.
we had talked about it, but I didn't know,
Yeah, we-
okay.
I would just put that right after.
Thank you, ma'am.
Put it after the header.
Reports,
Thank you.
possible action items, and then list
Anything
them.
else in your
Okay,
world?
that way it covers
What
everything.
about our vehicle?
It's down at, we should have asked Gary, I never thought about it, down at Road and Bridge.
Okay,
They are refurbing that,
okay,
so,
okay.
I will
Alrighty.
follow up and make a note of that and follow up.
Okay, okay.
But we had our guy here and forgot to ask him.
Yeah, and I wasn't thinking about it either.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you, ma'am.
thank you.
Have a good day today.
All right,
Appreciate
you
it.
too.
Thank you.
See you later, Laura.
Bye, Clint. So, you don't know when you're gonna get your table and you and Kelly can move it.
Don't egg him on about
I'm
that.
not going to.
Okay.
I'm not going to.
About
See,
the
you're
time I'm
second,
ready to retire.
you're
Yeah.
second to me, okay? He's
Okay.
got it,
Well,
we got, yeah, okay.
You have your priorities straight.
That's right.
In budget time, we determined that I was just ahead of urinal cakes and toilet paper.
That's right.
Oh,
Used. Hello, sir. How are
oh,
you?
well, good,
Good morning.
okay, well,
You say there.
Good to see you.
Good morning, sir.
How's things in your world?
Moving right along.
Good.
Moving right along.
Good, thank you for your report.
I didn't know if you got that. I wanted to bring this as well. We talked about
Okay.
this for, last week.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Or last month, rather.
Pardon?
Oh,
Last month.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Is this the policy or is this what you recommend?
This is what I'm recommending. I found a policy that was given to me, from 2008, ordinance number 2008-2, I believe, recommending a 25% charge per page of the 8.5 by 11, 8.5 by 14, and a $1 color charge and a $5 printing fee. That was before we had the new printer, and that was also, 9 years old. So, based on those recommendations, I worked this up. Did you agree with that? So that was what I was proposing, wanted to bring to you, in regards to what we talked about.
Okay. Quick question, first hour of GIS and mapping,
Generally, that's
No charge.
free because if we go through a core request, it's always free. So.
right, but outside of the core request, if just somebody come in and wanted an hour of your time,
That's kind of the way it's been done, but we can change that if that's the prerogative. Because if they went through the official request and said, we need this done, then it would be an hour free, so.
Right, but-
The original ordinance was a $23 an hour, charge, and so I raised, about 10 years ago, so raised that up to 25.
so I'll pick on my friend Mr. Bogle, and let's say he came to you and said, hey, I need a map of whatever, and it took you an hour, let's say exactly an hour.
All right.
Does he as a non-county entity person deserve an hour of your time at no cost?
I guess that would be your prerogative, we can, what would you like to see?
Yeah, I'm just, I don't know.
How much of that kind of work do you get?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Probably
We certainly
not.
understand the first hour of core request, there's no charge for that, but I'm just saying somebody else
So-
walks in off the street and wants you to
so
do
should
an hour
we-
worth of their work.
Should we talk about then, formalizing a procedure for work for someone coming in off the street?
Right. And
Well, most,
to Bill's point, would that happen very often?
About once a month.
Okay,
and usually, you know, most of these printing requests are off the stuff that they already have, all they're doing is using the printer, right?
Right, that's, that fee schedule would be for people coming in from outside. Yes, sir.
GIS and mapping.
Yes, sir.
Can I make a
So-
suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
How about, for the last one, for the public, non-county, non-safety, I mean, I don't want people driving up here from Pueblo to get mapping done for free, cause they don't wanna pay for it elsewhere. I think we ought to say $25 an hour with a minimum of 1 hour. I just think that would be appropriate. And we shouldn't be providing this free for the public. I mean, they could go to Staples and get it done and pay a significant fee.
Except the core request,
Now-
that's covered already.
Yeah,
I'm talking core
outside
request.
core request. I was thinking as a taxpayer now, do I have the right to access a county employee? I don't think so, but I don't know. I don't do your job, so I don't know what GIS and mapping work
This is
would
why
look like.
this is why I brought it here, this is
No,
not,
Yeah,
I
I didn't-
appreciate what you did.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, I don't, it's not county related. If it's just an outsider, it's not for safety issue, I mean, it's not the fire department or the
Right.
ambulance or something like that coming to you, then I feel just an outsider should pay a fee like everybody else would.
So what kind of work
I
is
go
it
to
that they
Kelly's
ask you
office and I
once
file a
month?
piece of paper, I pay money.
so actually this morning, I got a request from the people at Kettle Camp because they received, they had property damage from the Junkins fire. And they would like a map, a large plat map a large printed map of the, damage from Junkins fire. Showing the area and overlay that with their property so they can see how much exactly was damaged in that fire. Now, of course, for the map, that was charged,
Right.
and it will probably take more than an hour.
Wow.
It'll definitely take more than an hour to line all that up and create a map, because it's not something that's already existed.
And if we really look at this and you say the plotter work for printing, these are the figures, $10, $15, and $25, that's really for the plotter,
Right.
right? That doesn't,
So let's say somebody came in, we used to have the subdivision or zoning, somebody came in and said, I need this map
Right.
for research
Right.
purposes or whatever. Well, that's gonna cost you X amount of money,
Right.
because it costs us money,
Right.
you know,
That's
we-
fair.
if you
it's
have to,
expensive.
if you have to create a file to make that map, then I think that comes into play. If it's something you have,
Uh-huh.
can I get a copy of the
So
plan?
we
Boom,
have,
then
we
they
have
pay
10,
that.
we have 10 years of maps that already exist.
Right.
So
So
that
then-
are pretty easy to draw from.
Then I wouldn't think they'd have to pay the labor cost for that, just pay for the map, cause it's already done, right?
If that's.
Printing cost.
Yeah, cover the printing cost. But if you had to do this GIS and mapping work by the hour,
That's,
then I think
definitely,
Commissioner Prince's suggestion is good.
I believe that's.
Yeah, I think your suggestion is good, 25 minutes.
25 minimum,
Okay.
and that buys you the first hour, and 25
Yep.
thereafter, and you could break it out. If it's an hour and a quarter, you know,
Uh-huh.
$30, whatever it comes out to.
Okay,
And that-
understood.
Sounds reasonable to me, but.
That's what we do. So
Okay.
you come in and you get a copy, we charge you 25 cents. But we have companies once in a while that request, a whole bunch of like past stuff. We want all your stuff back to 1960 or something. And then we charge them, cause it takes a while to do that.
Understandable,
So
yeah.
we're gonna charge them for that.
So do you have
time.
a formalized process, or do they have to go through a core request? Or what's their process there?
No, they usually just send us a request of what they want.
Okay.
That wouldn't require a quarter
Yeah.
That's a
Okay,
business.
That's just
I see,
normal.
okay.
We don't get them very often, but we do get them.
And I certainly don't have a problem you using discretion and say, well, it took me 3 minutes to pull up this file, I'm not gonna charge you for that.
Yeah.
I'm good with that, I don't have a problem.
Alright,
But if we get into that, oh geez, yeah, this is gonna take some time, then I think they need to pay
Well,
for
if you
that.
have to spin up an understanding, it takes you 3/4 of an hour.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect.
And the 11x17s have always been $1.50.
oh, they have?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay,
did you
my
see
apologies.
that? Did you get that 35 cents from somewhere?
No,
Or did, okay.
no,
So the rest of us charge $1.50
okay.
for 11x17.
I want you to check
Definitely
and
follow
be-
with the rest of the.
normalize
I'm sorry, that
the
wasn't
actual
in the-
charges here.
That wasn't in the document that I had.
Yeah, I
But,
think that when that ordinance was, when we did that ordinance, was, so before the ordinance, when somebody would want a recorded copy, it was always $1.25 a page.
Okay,
And then they, the state came up with, they changed their laws to where we could only charge 25 cents a page.
interesting.
And, a lot of the county clerks had a problem with that because those big books,
Right,
they're bigger pages, they're harder to make copies of, you got,
Just
it's a
black
lot
and
more.
white too.
Yeah, and so they said, okay, each county can develop an ordinance that addresses
Okay.
that. And so basically, that's what that ordinance addressed, was
Gotcha.
that if you have a larger copy out of those bigger books, we're gonna charge you $1.25, but everything else we have to charge you 25 by
Gotcha.
statute.
That's a
Okay.
resolution, not an ordinance.
Was it a resolution?
Well, I'm sure it would be an
It
ordinance.
wouldn't
I
be.
think, yes, it was, resolution 2008-2.
Yeah,
So, okay,
that's
I
what it
understand
was.
that.
Yeah.
We can, that's why I was bringing it here, this
Yeah.
is not, that wasn't trying to make policy.
Yeah.
I
no
appreciate you doing
problem.
that.
Yeah.
Great job, what you brought us.
No, and it's good to have cause that's what we have, so that
Okay.
you can look at it and see what you, yeah.
So do we need to vote to accept this?
Would probably be appropriate, yes.
Or should I make the changes
Why don't you
that we
go,
talked
why
about
don't
and
you,
then
why
bring
don't
it
you
next?
make sure that it's
That'll be fine.
consistent with the other charges
Okay.
everybody's doing
Alright,
besides.
we'll do.
And then give us the final to approve.
Okay.
Perfect. Anything else on the report, gentlemen? Did you have any questions?
No, I went to this, pretty straightforward. Have you given any thought to the microphones in this room?
Oh,
Yes, I'm
glad
good.
you brought that up.
Yes.
We're gonna
That was the,
Yeah, it's on the agenda.
It's on
Oh,
the
is it?
agenda, let's not do it now.
IT grant for the conference room system. I put together a, really comprehensive system for this office, and, Tom came by and I.
Yeah, we
gave it
talked to
him,
the
yeah.
simple people at CCI
Mhm.
about the grant.
Yeah, I think it's already been applied for, actually.
It's on the,
It's on,
I don't have it
it's on
on my
tomorrow's,
agenda.
it's tomorrow's. agenda.
oh, tomorrow.
Tomorrow's agenda, I don't have tomorrow's in front of me.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay.
So yes, I did do
Well,
that research
talk about it
and created a comprehensive system. Did you want me to come back in
Let's-
tomorrow?
No.
Yes, well, here's why, there's nothing on tomorrow except that basically. We're behind already, do you wanna continue to get further behind?
No, I wouldn't
Either
be-
way, I just brought it up because you're sitting here.
Okay, gotcha.
Uh,
It's nice to hear you got it thought out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll report on that tomorrow,
okay.
but I don't think it's necessary
Would-
for you to be here.
Do you want me to send a spreadsheet showing what I actually created for
I've
that?
got it, don't I?
I think you do, yes.
Let me check it
I
real
think I
quick.
do.
Yeah, he just sent it to me as I was working on the grant, so, you can if you wanna send it to,
Okay.
yeah,
I'll
the
send
I'll
it
send
two
that out so that
commissioners,
you can
that'd be
see what
great.
you got.
Okay.
Wouldn't hurt,
Um,
otherwise we have to listen to him longer.
yeah, well, no,
As
because
you
what
say,
he's
sir.
sending you is water over the bridge,
Got
it's
it.
already been submitted,
Gotcha.
On the grant,
yes.
but you were gonna discuss it with us, you said, or just tell us what.
Yeah, the grant,
Just up to
I've got
this.
new information on the grant,
Okay.
so,
While we're there.
yeah.
Okay.
Alright, sir, anything else?
Oh, I believe that's it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good job on that.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it, thank you for
Thanks,
all you
sir.
do.
I think the record should reflect that Chairman Flowers said Mr. Vogel's a non-entity.
He said, or other non-entities.
And we're done
yeah.
with
If I
Wetmore.
could get your
And
notes.
we're done with what?
Yours.
Bad day.
Continuing to dig the hole.
We all know.
I'll
Boy,
put it back up,
boy.
I'll send it back out. Thank you.
Oh, boy.
We'll get a good John and take a break after him. That's a possibility.
I would think so.
John's been here looking excited.
VSO? Good morning, sir.
I will refrain from shaking any hands
Oh,
You still sick?
Not well.
due to the fact that I think the flu shot is giving me something.
Okay, well, welcome. Sorry, not
Um,
feeling well. You're a rock star in the whole county.
well, I'm surviving on cold medicine and coffee and
Uh,
bad attitude probably.
well, you got a lot of compliments on your food distribution efforts, man.
I
man,
did
man. So-
neglect to forward this letter from the VFW regarding my first action item. The VFW has raised a total of $4,850 for the holiday season. We paid out $2,000 already for the Thanksgiving meal distribution that we did. We did just over 100 meals that day. We are planning on doing another one on December 21st at Lang Hall, and we're gonna pay another $2,000 for the 100 meals.
December 21st.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then, as I said, 4,850 right now, and then now we have 2,850 for that meal. Any donations that we get above that will go into the Veterans Trust Fund to cover any lapses in payments from the state. Like right now, I'm getting calls from veterans asking whether or not we're gonna have money on Monday. It has not been deposited, and we're already a week behind on doing Veterans Trust Fund distributions for that. So if the board is willing to donate anything, then that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay. Yeah, I'll jump in there. I'll move we donate $1,000 to the trust fund. These guys need some money, so.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to donate $1,000. My intent was, sorry, gentlemen, out of community outreach fund. If that's agreeable to your second. Been moved and seconded to donate $1,000 to, is that the correct wording, Veterans Trust Fund?
Yes, sir.
Out,
Yeah, I believe it-
out of,
Yeah, it
yeah,
has
Veterans Trust Fund.
everything on there on that
Yeah.
letter as far as
Yeah.
donation. Appreciate that,
Out
gentlemen.
of, community outreach. Discussion. Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We will give this letter to Miss Kara, and I'll just make a note on here. That was one of the most incredible things that that whole food thing is
It's,
mind-boggling, really.
it's really amazing, and I've got more.
You are next.
We get
Um,
that protocol.
The next thing that I have, gentlemen, is, the VFW is seeking, one of the rooms in my basement in the annex, to expand the food bank. The American Legion has the 2 rooms on the west side of the basement. My understanding is they have a 20-year lease on those. The American Legion Auxiliary has traditionally had the food bank storage downstairs. However, they've been struggling with membership, and so we've not been getting a lot of help with that. The VFW, however, is expanding greatly and would like to be able to make sure that we have a food storage area. We want to build it properly, make sure it's up to state requirements. We can get those specs from John Gallegos, because he's been obviously doing this food bank stuff for a while. They just want to make sure that we're able to
Handle the
accommodate that.
storage.
Who has a 20-year lease
My understanding is it's the American Legion.
on the annex?
Basement.
We'll have to research that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't, I mean, that's just what I was told from the American Legion.
Could be right.
just don't know.
Yeah, I've never seen the actual paperwork.
Keep turning up these skeletons everywhere.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I mean, right now, the basement is basically full of trash.
Yeah, I've been down there.
Does the American Legion have
It's
anything?
terrible.
The American Legion, does have the one room that has uniform items and things like that. They use that on a regular basis. The other room is where most of my food storage is now. But it's, you know, like I said, I'm just not getting the help that I need as far as, stocking that and things like that.
I have a couple questions, if I may. Do you have any idea what the cost would be to, first of all, is it your recommendation to go ahead and use the basement for the food storage?
I see no issue with it. I'm getting so much, and we're actually getting overwhelmed with the amount of food that we could get. We're gonna have to reach out to the churches and things like that to try to make sure that I don't want my office to turn into the, you know, community food bank.
distribution.
Right, you don't wanna
Yeah.
be doing that.
But I'm okay with it being a hub to be able to have another organization,
Take it and go
work for
disperse it.
me. Because, I mean, like, the VFW, told me yesterday, or actually no, the Eclampus Vetus group said that they have a semi-truck down in Penrose that they wanna bring to Custer County that is full of food. I can't handle that right now,
Do with it.
you know, so
Did you say there was enough room? to
There is
get the
enough
trash
room.
out of it?
there is enough room. Mostly what's down there is just, you know, broken chairs and things like that. I can work with Bill Hitt and get that all taken to the, landfill and
Would there be a cost of revamping the basement to
it'll all be
accommodate
through
this?
donations. We will have no cost out of our budget at all.
What's it gonna take
Well,
to do?
Um,
Shelves?
Consensus thing.
Basically, what we just need to do is just build shelves to
Yeah.
spec. We need to make sure that the food is off the floor, and a certain distance away from the wall, and that's it. And the fact that it's all dry storage, I don't really have any issue, you know, as far as we're not gonna be handling, perishables.
Canned goods and
Yeah.
dry stuff.
And how do you guard against becoming the county food bank?
I've been having
That's
to
a-
kind of
that's a
reel in
fair-
the VFW a little bit because they've been getting so many offers of donations. I am standing firm on the only people that can come to me for donations are veterans.
Excellent.
Um,
And then are you working at all with Care and Share?
yes, sir.
Wonderful.
We're trying to see what we can do to augment them. Cause I mean, if you walk into Care and Share, I mean, they've got that wide open building
I
that's
know.
like 5 cans on the shelves.
I know.
You know, so if we can help augment them so that they can do more,
Well, let them come and get it and do it.
yeah.
That's fine.
The other thing too is John Gallegos is proposing, and he's gonna
You could just
be talking to you, is he wants to do a monthly mobile food bank distribution.
mention that.
And that would be 10 months a year, for $5,000 total. Which, I mean, the VFW is very close to being able to reach that.
Is that goal already?
Okay, well, good. Excellent. Well, I think by consensus, we support
Yeah.
that as long as it doesn't get out of control and you, and certainly you have set the parameters that you're not gonna become a county food bank, so.
You know, I have no issue, you know, especially with these holiday food items, you know, I wanna make sure that, you know, the community sees that the veteran community is
Being taken care of.
reaching out to everyone. Cause, you know, one of the main goals of the Veterans Trust Fund is to make sure that no one goes hungry. I mean, that mainly is for veterans, but
Right.
during the holiday season,
Got some excess, then deal with it.
I've got a lot right now. I mean,
So there's no reason why they couldn't deliver it directly to their shelves either. They need
Right.
to get somebody quoted.
and that's
Rather than
what I
making
wanna
it
be
a
able
middleman.
to make sure that we can do.
Don't get yourself in the middle.
Well, don't put it in the basement just to bring it back up.
Right.
And that's, yeah,
Trust me.
that's what I'm trying to avoid.
Okay,
Other than that,
the report looks good.
and
Questions,
then,
gentlemen?
I move we
leading the
accept
parade
this
on
report, that we're
Saturday.
gonna have to accept
Oh,
it sooner or
will.
later.
yeah, so we'll-
I'll go ahead and move that we accept the
It's okay,
November
I'll second.
2019 Congress Department of Military and Veterans Affairs report.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the report of the VSO for November. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with, the changes in the VFW. They're definitely doing a lot for this community. And we've got some new people that are, I don't know if any of you
Got some energy.
have met Pegleg, but, he is quite the, interesting person as far as, getting donations, so.
That's
Very good. Well, thank you. Appreciate it, sir. Hope you
All
get
right,
feeling better.
Incorrect thing to call in tonight.
We'll just wave goodbye.
Wait,
Yeah.
got a question about that?
John,
Sure.
can you speak to, or do you know, so I know the Department, or the Veterans Administration just has been releasing information that they're doing like a veterans something access ID cards that they're gonna issue out, so that veterans now have access to, the PX
Yes.
or whatever you,
So
however
the-
he calls it.
The VA health card, basically, you can, there's a couple ways, the only way you can do it is to go online and go on to eBenefits or one of the other VA websites and request a ID card. And then as a veteran, you can access any of the, MWR facilities on base, things like that. I believe it is only for, veterans with a disability, and I can certainly get
There
those.
are some provisions too.
No.
For the compensation
Be a little
that they're
weird.
trying to square away.
Yeah. It looks like they've got most of the stuff ironed out, and I just saw the emails and stuff from the VA today on those,
Okay.
so
So you have to be 30% disability.
I'll double check on that one.
Okay.
Any veteran can
Yeah, I
get,
think of that.
access to the exchange right now, and, they're working to do similar for the commissary, but there's issues of access to like Fort Carson and stuff like that. I know I'm on the retiree council at Fort Carson, that came up in our last meeting, and, they're trying to work those details out.
Well, by consent, we will take a 5-minute adjournment.
Feel
Thanks,
better,
or
John.
recess.
Don't like the way the sheriff is guarding that coffee pot.
I was actually gonna bring you some coffee, during, the switch over, but since we took the break, you get your own damn.
I didn't even see you coming, I just heard you back there.
They get you the final thing, it's still nothing?
I didn't get the one, so Richard sent me an email and he
Uh-huh.
said,
How goes it, Colby?
he said Shannon,
I never got your,
I sent the revised draft to everybody last
and I
week.
didn't think to tell you to bring it either.
Unfortunately, I had surgery Tuesday, I'm out of commission for the next week. The only revision I was asked about was signature lines for your commissioners, which I believe is on the final draft.
I didn't see that.
Oh,
You
goodness.
can
No,
maybe we should just scribble it out and change it by hand, whatever you had,
okay.
so you can get it signed, so we're not operating on a handshake anymore. If you, yeah, the other night, your discussion was the first time I didn't have a conflict when you had one of your deals.
Yeah, I tried to just go out and, like I said,
Sure.
I can come in there and talk, but a lot of times, you're not getting hit on things that people have questions about. It's a lot-
Before I forget,
I
Tom,
think it's
I'm
more
gonna miss
practical
tomorrow's
than
meeting, which
people
will be the
have
first time in
Wow.
over 4 years that I got a doctor's appointment. He's going off for 3 months,
Ah.
and
Yeah,
I had stage 4 prostate cancer at one time. It's been 5 years now since they give me on radiation treatment, but this is sort of a checkup thing before he's gone for quite a while, so I don't wanna miss it.
Let me look at the agenda real quick.
Didn't seem like there was very much on there I was gonna miss it.
Publication letters, we're gonna vote to send those out most likely.
Is that what Tom, he did?
That's hard enough.
Oh, those, yeah, I was thinking, the letters to the hospital, we're doing it today. Yeah, the publication thing is routine, just send those out. And we'll open
I
them.
wasn't gonna let that go. As soon as I hung up with
Competitive
him,
the Sentinel wants to
wasn't
do
sure.
this time
I thought
around.
Wilson was still the
Yeah,
chair,
leave
so my
alone.
mistake, that's why I called him. He told me you were, so I called you. So I wasn't gonna let that get away. That just looked like too good of an opportunity.
So what do you use for your source when you write your column on the Constitution? Anything in particular?
Are we talking about the Revolutionary War and
Sounded like a
Beyond
young man
column,
to me.
or?
Well, it's the one where you just finished up on, Fifth Amendment, for
That's
example.
probably the
Is
Revolutionary
that what
War.
that is? Oh, I didn't think, I mean, I read it, I guess I didn't pay attention to what the title was.
I didn't write that. It's my website. I bought the website several years ago, and we've gone through it but
I thought you were writing all that personally. It said, doesn't say by Jack Bugler?
well, I think it's contributed by or something, you know, I mean, I own the content, but I didn't actually write it.
Okay.
If you have issues, I would love to hear them.
No, I mean, it's accurate, everything I've read is just fine, so just curious
Right.
where you were getting it from. But this is really a good book on the Constitution. This guy takes it apart clause by clause all the way through. I mean, he talks about high crimes and misdemeanors. This was a huge book I got. I needed it because somebody underlined and wrote notes in there. I just.
So you said you're just gonna call it up because it's not.
What's the name of it?
It's just America's Constitution, but he's a law professor at Yale. He's one of the ivory tower. They didn't ask him to cut it, he probably would have been too fair and objective.
Well, see, my
You didn't know about the work group?
No,
Thank you for doing that.
He has the ability to find out who's.
I said, well, there's 3 Democrat constitutions.
Holy crap.
If they don't respond back to him, then he can.
So you haven't read that?
He sees that. And he junk it.
So it wouldn't be a bad idea.
See, I mean, because it's
Parliamentary law.
a private property zone, we can't just go through it.
Watch out.
Instead of me?
Oh, you need to write it.
Okay.
Right.
Those 2 running for their
Yeah,
desk.
but until, because he
I'll
doesn't
whack
respond.
it in.
And I don't even respond.
I wait.
One tab on that road out.
Because.
Well, one of them's got a gun.
Yeah, that's true. They're quicker off.
Road corner.
Okay. I hear the hammer slam.
As I indicated to Commissioner Prince, 1 tap of the gavel needs to be seated. 2 taps.
2 is to throw us
call
out.
to order or reconvene. Commissioner meeting will reconvene. Next up on our staff reports is Human Resource Finance. I have been biting my fingernails waiting for this moment.
Here comes the tree.
Man, you did.
But he's been busy. Good morning.
What were you, we owe the honor?
Is that like saying how much do we
How much
pay?
did we pay?
It's government, we pay and pay and pay. Okay, lots and lots of things.
Okay.
The handwritten,
Is this today when we sign off on the mill levies, the certification?
no, I don't have that yet.
Okay.
This is the, probably,
General fund we do, right?
but there's a certification
Right, for
form,
the-
and those, I think JD, the deadline for him to hand those to us, or to JD is the 10th, so
Right.
we're
But
just.
we've got this
form.
mill.
And that's what I actually
Right.
submit to him on our behalf for that part.
But not the full countywide mill levy, correct? We're not doing that today.
And your next meeting is the 18th, correct?
Mhm.
Because I,
After tomorrow, but.
right, I'm sorry. And I think I will have to be on the agenda for that certification. Hopefully I can, it's real hard to have that, to be able
So
to
we'll
control.
put, certification of county mill levies on the agenda for the 18th under new business. Chair would entertain a motion pertaining to the handwritten checks in the amount of $43,983.20.
So moved. I move that we approve the checks for letters $43,983.20 that was submitted this morning.
I'll
Hand sign.
accept it. The second.
Moved and seconded to approve the hand sign check in the amount of $43,983.20.
$983.20.
Discussion.
No, there,
Yes, I have.
That's part of that, right?
Yes.
thank you.
Good.
And next up, I have 4
And
resolutions.
we're still in the middle of a motion
Oh,
here,
sorry.
so we're just letting him have an opportunity to look at that real quick, sorry.
I don't know about this sheriff's thing. Oh, wait a minute, that's the Durango. That's okay.
Yeah.
Any further discussion, gentlemen?
No, sir.
Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Go ahead, ma'am, I'll sign these while we're talking.
4 resolutions. The first one is pertaining to the sheriff's vehicle that was
Right.
totaled in there. The other 3 are mandatory by the state that go with the budget to the state, which I will be mailing in as soon as I get these signed. And I don't need the recorded copy, I just need a signed copy of the last one. The scanner next door doesn't scan very well, so I have copies of the originals. If those didn't come out very good, I'm not sure what copies you have of those, or if you just want to
They were a
use
little
these ones.
faded, but
Yeah,
legible.
It's just funny how when it scans, it just lightens them up, and so, these were just a little nicer.
So you got something to set the mill levies here, that's for next time, huh? Or is-
It's for 20, it's for 1/1 of 20. And that's what I give to JD on behalf of the county while he's giving, West Coast Surf football with those.
So we wanna do that today?
Can I look at those?
Sure.
I have a question about that when we get finished going through all this about the mill levies. So, but we'll save that until we've got all the rest of the stuff done.
Not every day we get a writing check to buy a sheriff's vehicle, is it?
He's not even appreciating all this, is he? He's back there playing Angry Bird or something.
I'm answering emails, actually.
That's
I'm
what
doing a little
That
work.
check isn't in here though, is it?
Oh, he's actually doing the work.
Was mailed to his,
Oh, you were, we went through
because
that
it
on,
was,
signed on our
You
regular.
expect
yes,
to be-
because it was like $5 a day
Yeah.
for interest, so I
Oh,
carried
we
it.
talked about that.
It's the first, isn't it?
Spaced that
Never mind.
out, we haven't had that discussion. Sorry.
Okay, let's move
Not
on.
like that was a
That
great
back.
savings, or you could keep it if you want. So I gotta make a note to mail that to the administrators.
All right, we got that taken care of, so we'll look at these. I know you were in
So
discussion
you've
about
got,
while I was signing. them.
1,
Let's
2,
do-
3, 4 resolutions that we wanna
Well,
approve now.
yeah. Gotcha. Yeah,
Okay.
So this, the first one is.
so let's deal with these one at a time, obviously, because they're certainly different. Resolution 1915.
So you got the that one up front?
Deals
Yes,
with
because
this.
that's more of a housekeeping
Right.
too,
Okay.
so we don't overspend the capital outlay.
Alright, so I move that we, adopt resolution 1915 to, fund, the fund balance for $34,963.58.
Second.
Moving and seconded to adopt resolution 19-15, which basically says we will appropriate, $34,963.58 to cover, capital improvement, or to go into, come out of capital improvement, correct? Go to the fund balance to offset the cost of the vehicle, that we turned in for an insurance claim. Further discussion? Or any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
So did
I'll vote
insurance.
aye, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
So the insurance money came in and now it's going to pay for another vehicle,
Correct.
is that correct?
Yes.
The $14,000 or $15,000 hit we take on it, cause the insurance didn't cover that. So where's that come out of? Does that come out of my budget?
Guess what the hit was? Was it 14 or 15?
Well, I thought it was like, well.
It was originally.
It's like 16 or 17.
That was the
right?
original projection. It was less than
Less
4?
than- It was less than 2,900
Yeah,
overall.
less than $3,000.
Except, I mean, you're out of a vehicle and you had made one
Oh,
lease
so they
payment.
ended up ponying up more than the, good, good. That is Donna, good girl.
Yep.
Well, I don't mean that.
Donna knocked
derogatory.
one
Good-
over the
Good
fence
woman,
for us
good.
there.
Great job.
Yeah,
Great
there you
job.
Yeah, human,
Yeah.
nice work, human.
That doesn't beg a question though, I know that.
I'm not gonna come give you a hug. 'Cause
Private
no.
people that buy a car, you're upside down in it.
Right,
They have a more, they have an insurance
That gap,
policy
yeah.
on that gap insurance. We don't do that.
We do not.
Or we can't do that. Is there a
Well,
reason
and
why?
our premiums are really low for all the equipment and money
We'll-
we have.
we'll-
to
we'll-
issue.
we'll
Yeah.
sort
So
that
it
when they
was,
occur.
yeah, it was not, it was a lot better than I had anticipated.
Resolution 19-16 deals with the budget itself, authorizing, Ms. Donna, to prepare and submit that on our behalf. Chair would entertain a motion for approval.
I move that we approve resolution 19-16, adopting the 2020 budget.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution 19-16. Discussion?
Is it possible to get that on the electronic version? Do you have it scanned and all that?
I do, and Vernon has it with the exception of the signature page, and when I get that, I'll give that to him, and then it'll be ready
Then
to
he'll
go.
post it.
Thank you so much.
It just can't post until I have it.
Right, so this is the formal adoption of what we've
It's so much
already.
easier for me to find it
Massage.
electronically. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed nay, motion carries. We will. Thank you for doing all this work, oh my gosh.
Unbelievable now.
And resolution 1917, levying the property taxes for 2020, setting the mills, based on $109,773,510 for a total of 19.906 mils. I would move that we adopt resolution 1917.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded for the adoption of resolution 1917. Discussion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Contingent fund, there's no mill for that. Has that always been that way?
Is, for years and years, we have not put money in. In 2015, I believe we set up maybe a half mil, and then it went away.
With
It
a
was
timeline
chosen.
on it,
It's just, it's more of a savings account that if we have a year that we have a little more money, that you would make that. And then it just sits in there. I think there's 118,000 in that contingency fund.
So how do these mills for 2020 compare with, for example, 2019? Are they basically the same? Are they lower, higher?
Last year it was 20.045, I believe. I'm not positive on that number, but it's close.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have it.
Sure about this.
And, so our mill levy dropped, but with an explanation is, our property tax increased to, our assessed valuation went to 109 from 100.
Right.
So that put us over the 5.5% limit. And so I get a worksheet that shows that did, which is why the general fund had to change its mill levy, but we actually garnered more tax even with the smaller mill.
So this is roughly
Yeah, I don't
20,
have
it looks like, mills.
Yeah, 19.906.
I mean, I
Roughly
think it was,
20.
yeah, but that's, but it did change, you're absolutely correct, but we actually received more money even with the change because the assessed valuation had went up so much.
Thank you, I understand.
Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed nay. Motion carries.
Well done.
So this next one, is a general, right?
and that's the appropriations, that's what, all
For
throughout
that
that
we-
each fund is a breakout for the state. I think it's a shortcut, that way they don't have to look at each, budget line.
Yeah, that's how that fellow came through.
And yeah, this kinda, just a
Little
little,
funky, but-
I could see it was a
That
little
scan
bit,
kinda squirrely.
yeah, it was just a tiny bit different, so.
So this is just certifying basically that the appropriations are what we looked at before.
And that is exactly what you have deemed appropriate to spend.
Right. Right.
That was our total budget.
So I move we adopt resolution 1918.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moving seconded for the adoption of resolution 1918, appropriating the sums of money to the various funds, as set forth in the budget. Discussion for, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Say anything else? Good morning. How could I ask such a question in a time like this? We just voted on that, correct? I mean, we don't need to re-vote on this because we just did, so.
That's just what it is.
Jeez, that, okay, that wore me out on that one.
Thank you. Jump up there on that second line.
Bring that down to,
No, it's, don't forget this is chairman, vice chairman, peon.
nope, they're all the same.
They peed on
Yeah.
P-E-O-N.
I didn't know.
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
Not
Depends if you have a puppy or not.
P-E-E-O-N. That one's done.
Okay, that one is done, yes. I'll let you look at it to make sure, but.
Do you want a hard copy this way, or just to do the
Jane.
online once I get it?
If you have it already printed, I'll take a hard copy of this, cause I put it in a loose leaf binder.
And I did just enough, cause I need them for the state, I need for Sam DiNardo, for Kelly has to have the copy, and then, and you guys, so you
Take
did.
I'll put mine in a notebook here, Jay, and
Yeah,
leave it in the
fine.
file, if that's okay.
That'll be fine.
That one done.
That one's done.
Actually, there's yours, Kel.
Okay, I move that we amend the budget.
Let me go get another supplemental, and we'll
Yeah.
just start going from there.
So we got here is a 90%.
Yeah, let's check the page and make sure it's been signed.
Good, thank you.
No, but you could send
He
out,
can't multitask.
you could send out for pizza though.
For pizza?
You haven't even gotten to the new business.
No.
Send out
That
for
was done
pizza.
too, did you look? Excellent.
Double
Hard
check.
copy or, just the online, or both?
Both.
And Donna, you want, copies of all four of these, just copies or recorded?
Just copies will suffice for me, and then I can get the recorded ones later for the official, the state doesn't require them to be, recorded,
recorded,
they just
okay.
need them to be.
Okay,
Copy.
so you want both, please?
What would be your cover? Or do you, can you just sign that
Give
one?
this to me for a reason.
I didn't know if you did or didn't, I couldn't just,
Sign it?
one.
Oh, did I want one?
Yes. I know I couldn't.
I would really like one
Yep,
unless,
no,
unless.
absolutely, you're good.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't wanna make more than what I really,
I didn't want you to make an extra Because I usually use the one online.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Was it one of these? Oh, there it is.
This is a copy I keep here.
Now, how did that get missed?
It didn't. It's my copy. I'll put it in
Oh,
the,
oh, we got, yes.
I'll put it in the, notebook, keep it here in the commissioner's room, so you guys don't have to pack yours if you don't want.
Thank you for joining my light. That's awesome.
Which light, where, Jeff?
Outside the dark skies to get my new light up.
All
Dark
of these?
Skies paid for your light.
Light, yeah, and it was up.
No, we haven't done the rest.
But
Yeah,
mine
they did
was
get-
done, and so I
alright.
appreciate that.
Anything else, ma'am?
Can I bring up, I just,
You may.
alright, we're talking about certifying the mill levy for next year.
Yes.
All the taxing entities send it to JD, looks, make sure it's all Tabor and Gallagher, legal, and then he goes to Donna. My question is about the hospital. The hospital district has a 4.098 mill levy, and then the taxpayers voted in a separate mill levy for the ambulance or EMS, and it was specifically designated that way when they voted.
Correct.
But they always certify it as one mill levy to you, 7.098, I think is the number. And I really question, since it's a separate mill levy that was voted on separately, it seems to me, and I'm not an expert in this, that ought to be certified as two separate mill levies to you.
And for some reason, this has came up before, and in my mind, you're correct. But I think it was the hospital district that was the proponent of that mill levy, so it passed through them, so that they put it together. I mean, I don't think it was anything nefarious, I think it just, that's how it went. But I don't honestly know that, and I don't know who I would ask.
Well, probably Sam DiNardo, but I mean, he's seen that, and I guess he's never challenged it. The reason I'm bringing this up, and this is just an observation at this point, certainly not something to consider, but if during the discussions and negotiations about ongoing ambulance service in the future, if we're at an impasse, the final say is the commissioners. They have their mill levy, are gonna have it approved for 2020, but if it's all in together, if it's a separate certified mill levy, then as a last resort, the commissioners should choose not to recertify that mill levy, in which case the ambulance or the hospital district wouldn't have the funds, to continue operating. And I'm just throwing that out, but by having it together, it's kind of protected, you can't, deny one without denying the whole thing. And I don't think, I've never heard of this becoming an issue. Generally, mill levies are just routinely approved as long as they meet the statutory requirements, but it's something ultimately that the commissioners can say, no, we don't think you're providing the service that you're getting the mill levy for, and we're not gonna certify it.
And that's why we certify them, right? That's why they go through this process.
Right. So I'm just putting that out on the table there for your consideration as we go forward, trying to work out a solution with the hospital district about service for the entire county. But if they really don't wanna do it outside the boundaries of the hospital district, then, it's possible that the ultimate resolution would be that the county says, we're going to take back, because right now it's by a contract between the county and the hospital district. And if you decide you wanna take that back, for breach of contract or whatever reason, then that mill levy would have to go away, and that would be one way for it to go away. Of course, the county would have to have it simultaneously be asking for its own mill levy for 2021, if that's where we're headed.
Do you wanna pursue that with Sam, or you want Donna to
I
talk
was
to him?
wondering if the question, if it says that the West Custer County Hospital District is requesting a 2% mill levy increase for hospital, then that's exactly why it went the way it did. I mean, that's what I'm gonna say, is probably the question, ask it that way. And so how do we not have it that way? I mean, I don't know that, but I would have to get a.
Yeah, the
3 mills for providing ambulance service.
Exclusively.
Right.
But if it
The
was
3
the
mills.
West Custer Hospital, not for, and like, when you did a road and bridge increase, it's the Board of County Commissioners requesting a mill levy increase for road and bridge.
Right.
And so it's
This was for the
separated.
West Custer County Hospital District
Just
for
for,
providing.
and so
It was their
that's-
ballot
so-
issue.
And so, I mean, so that's why it's combined, I would
Right,
think, but I
'cause
need a
it's the
copy
same entity doing two mill levies.
on there, and so I don't know.
Will you follow up with Sam about that, ask him
Okay.
what he thinks? Let us know.
Because that seems that, and does it have to go back to the voters to separate, or can, like,
Well,
somebody
mill
request that
levies-
it be separated?
Well, yeah, should we be certifying
There.
7.098, or should we be certifying 4.098 and 3.0?
I think it should be separate.
That's the
And
question.
that, I mean, that's what you guys do, and that would be my ideal, but I don't know, like.
So
Well,
if
then
you
I
would
have a
ask
question,
Sam about that.
if you did not okay that, what happens to the money? Does the treasurer just not write them the check and we hold on to it until the voters get rid of that, or just a curiosity
He
as
has the
that goes
answer, I
too?
think.
The
Well,
escrow.
you're talking about,
That the
Are we-
mill levy went, because if it was a voter, can we not, can we, I mean, you're,
if the mill
See, I
levy
don't know
wasn't
that.
going to be, let's say, just for the purpose of this discussion, you didn't certify that 3.0, you said we're only gonna certify 4.098, and then they aren't gonna have the mill levy.
so then it wouldn't be collected on tax, but
It wouldn't
is
be
a,
collected
but since
on-
voters voted for that, can we do that? That's my question.
Yeah, well, you can ask Sam that too, but why else
Yeah,
would we
I
be
think that
certifying these
you
mill
can.
levies?
Yeah.
The only other thing would be we're certifying that they're correct,
On there, right, and
and
that's.
that may be it, I don't know.
And I don't know
That's-
either the
I
answer
think
to
you're
that,
right.
that's the only way that I see a mill levy. Generally, a mill levy goes away because the taxing district is going away. Here, they've got, this taxing district, the hospital district, has two separate mill levies.
Right.
So, it's not, the hospital district mill levy would go away if they dissolved, if they said, we're just gonna, merge into Heart of the Rockies and we don't need our separate district
That would only
anymore.
be that 4 mills, and then
Yeah.
the 3 is still there, which would be,
Well, but we
Up to
can't
us to
just transfer
decide.
that over to us either.
no, we'd have
And
to,
there could be some kind of an agreement that any money that's there
Just sat
would go
with
into the
treasurers
general
and
fund.
and then we'd have to start and probably
We'd have,
resolve a new mill levy.
the county would have to have its own mill levy
Right.
if it's gonna
To
provide
be a
ambulance
continuing.
service in the future, but I just wanted to bring that up for
Okay.
your consideration today.
So first off, can we not sign? Can we still collect if not for them?
Can we require the hospital district to certify as
Can
two
they
separate mill levies?
separate them?
And if they do that, cause I think. it
So
all
who's been
goes in-
certifying in the past?
It
Commissioner,
always
Well, we
comes
always
through
have,
because
right?
the treasurer writes the
Right,
checks
writes
to
the
them
check
on the
over to that
collection.
district.
Yeah.
so not, I wouldn't think the question would be, can we not sign them? I think the question is, what would happen if the commissioners didn't sign
And if
them?
it changes, if they give that to JD, and because that's what he puts on the computer, so that it generates the tax bills with that amount. I know, I just,
Yeah,
Well, and you
So-
can't, obviously, you can't do it this year, cause
No, you
suddenly there wouldn't be any money to
No,
pay for
and
ambulance service.
we've got a lot of work to do between now and the
Yeah,
next
but
year.
I was curious about that part, and also, apparently it all goes in, and I'm not sure, but the hospital district just has one account, all the money goes in there.
I've always felt that it should be separate as well, that I could look at this one or this one and say what exactly was there. I've
Let's
went to a few of
Right.
the meetings and said
Yeah.
that, and
another question for Sam, probably,
Yeah.
but,
but if it is their mill levy for that,
Right.
then,
So who does their books? Not Sam.
he is their auditor, but is Teresa and Lisa, I believe, or,
yeah, Teresa's the CFO. Sam's their auditor, and maybe you can ask
yeah,
him that.
that's why I think he
Because
will.
he would know.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
should
that
know.
he'll know that,
Yeah.
that it was,
Okay, all right,
okay.
well, thank you, ma'am, really appreciate your work.
Good.
Holy smokes, we're on to new business.
All right, it's about time.
No, I got a bunch of unfinished. Okay, thank you, ma'am, appreciate it, glad to have that done. Gentlemen, any unfinished business?
Negative.
Move on to new business. Consideration of the economic development regarding the implementation of the strategic plan. Good morning, sir. Thank you for waiting. I have, so
Hey,
that you
Charles.
know,
reasonably clean.
I've asked Kara to start staff reports at 9:30. On our agenda instead of,
9:15. You're a little optimistic.
yeah.
In a review of the status of what we had, I think I was to give a recommendation as to how we might go forward.
Mhm.
And I've consulted with Cheryl Trent, who got us up to this point. And I did get a copy of the implementation status board.
The appendix.
Yeah, the thing about it is, it appears that, as long as since it's been as dormant for as long as it has, it's a matter of kind of refreshing and reassigning, identification of points of contact for the various ideas. And then, it would be suggested that at least a quarterly meeting would be conducted to status and report to the community. That's the short version. It's gonna take, I mean, you know, there's still some holes as far as points of contact and such, that need to be filled, and the ones that had been previously designated also need to be confirmed.
Reconfirmed.
My further suggestion is that, we contract, and I say we, the county, and actually, when you look at it, there's some involvement of both towns too in a number of items. But I would suggest that, a contract would be appropriate with Cheryl Trent to give coverage for these quarterly meetings for the year of 2020. And she has given an estimate of $10,000 to conduct those 4 meetings and their necessary coordination. Then the only thing as it relates that would be not covered in that is if we had to pay rents for meeting room and such like that to conduct it. In the discussion, she also looked at, depending upon the various varied tasks that are within it, if it was necessary for additional help from various functions, which might be within the function or not. She provided estimates, which at the bottom line, and are not included in the quarterly meetings for a year, but some other $55,000 approximately in potentially other tasks that she could accommodate, but that wouldn't necessarily be associated with the basic funding. I mean, like coverage with tourism board tasks and such like that were involved.
So restate it, Charles, you got 10K for quarterly meetings.
Yes.
You got 5K, is that what you said?
Actually, if you take another half a dozen items that she detailed, and like one was marketing and promotion of Custer County to include jobs, events, etc., with tourism board. And again, it's not knowing what progress has been made by the various identified functions. But you know, as a matter of full disclosure, they total out.
So what you're trying to say is that she thinks it's gonna cost her $5,000 to interact with these people that are part of the implementation ease. Is that right?
So just say
No,
55,000.
excuse me. The basic, what I'm asking for funding, the other's information, really. $10,000 she'll cover quarterly meetings.
Okay.
And progress and, you know, push the various other organizations that are points of contact.
Mm-hmm.
What she did give, as a matter of full disclosure, she gave me 2, 4, 6 items that were identified as tasks, not knowing what the responsible agency's done, but if she was to assume working with those, it could be as much as another $55,000.
That's what I meant. That was what it was gonna cost her to go get involved with them to get them going and
Bill,
summarize.
Still haven't heard the number.
The number is 55,000.
Roughly, but that, again, I think the key thing is, right now is the, $10,000 for the quarterly meetings.
So, so do we know who those 6 guys, 6 responsible people are, or agencies?
Yeah, she details that, who.
And why wouldn't we have somebody assigned by each one of those as the guy that would report to us, that would be responsible for doing that? Why do we
We
need Cheryl
would.
to do that?
Who would, she just gave that as an alternative.
'Cause that's how I viewed it.
And I can't find that document, I've been looking for it while you were
I couldn't
talking.
find
I just got it, oh, the annex, or the appendix.
Annex, I've been appendix, I've had, Kara looking for it for weeks.
Well, Cheryl sent this direct to me, and I can send it to you. One of the problems, it's, set up for 11/18, like we were talking, and my printer at home,
Okay.
Doesn't accommodate that, but,
Well, let's talk in general for just a second.
yeah.
Cause Jay, I like the idea, you brought it up, and that we need to, you know, I'm a big advocate for the strategic plan and an implementation plan that you ride herd on. It's not gonna sit in somebody's safe. So this is a good thing to do. And Cheryl, and I don't know, we need to talk about the 2 pieces. Is it, we wanna get Cheryl involved quarterly. I think quarterly is the right answer. We have to have, and that's what was the intent when we had our discussions originally. To sit in front of us, give us a status and how they're progressing and working together on things that are interconnected. You know, one item like that might involve the city of West Cliff, the other one in conjunction with our IT or whatever it is. And then we can help, and our job then is to help make it possible for, and facilitate the support to have these organizations be successful. Whether that means, putting people together, advertising, or maybe in some cases ponying up some cash if it is deemed the right thing to do. So I think personally that,
Annex.
I don't know that we need somebody to facilitate the meeting necessarily. I think we need somebody to help gather up the herd, the cats.
Well, I think the meeting
Is that what
is the
she's viewing
vehicle.
that, is that?
Yeah. I mean, it would be, I would envision is that the responsible people at these meetings would come and report their status and their progress, and then between the meetings,
Right.
it's somebody to kind of
Right.
push them.
No, that's very valid, and that's been my experience in the strategic plans and implementation plans that I've been accountable for in the past in organizations, and we usually had somebody writing her. It usually was the chief of staff or somebody that it fell under, and each organization would, he would be prodding them along, and I think that's fine. We gotta decide whether we wanna maybe find it's either a county employee doing that, or we hire Cheryl to do that. And that's maybe the discussion that we need to have.
If I may, the discussion I brought up when we started this was, I was concerned that the commissioners would not would not follow up the way it needs to be followed up on the strategic plan, to make sure it gets done, it gets followed. You and I spoke, Charles, and you said that economic development would entertain the discussion of, I'm not saying you would do it, would entertain the discussion of taking over the implementation of the strategic plan. That made a lot of sense to me, because we have so much on our plate that I'm telling you, I will tell you, for me, the strategic plan would be on the back burner. How important it is, I know, but if I'm fighting a fire here and doing this and doing that, the strategic plan is just kind of smoldering back there. But if I had some professionals who were gonna do it, to me it makes sense to ask economic development, if they're interested in doing it, to take over the implementation of the plan. I mean, it's still our responsibility, but they would take over the day-to-day operation of that.
What is that day-to-day?
And then if that would include Cheryl coming for 4 meetings or more, I'm certainly open to discussion. But I'm just concerned that the 3 of us implementing the plan's gonna end up in this bottom drawer with the other plans that we have.
We're saying the same thing, Jay. You're absolutely right, and I'm an advocate for that. we don't have the time to individually do that. And that's what I said, usually to have somebody in the organization riding herd on that. But we are implementing it by facility, by the authority. We have the authority to execute that, is all I'm saying. I don't mind whether it's Charles or whether it's Cheryl or the combination. If Charles is gonna do it, you're gonna have a price to, it's not free.
I'm proposing that economic development unilaterally should not support it. We've got enough things on our table.
That's why.
And, to the extent, and I think Cheryl proved her worth
She did.
during last year's, and the good news is the continuity of working with the three communities and such last year, opposed to,
Right.
to bringing in another third party or something.
And that's not a bad thing, cause it's a subcontract or a contract with us directly, that's okay, and she would be accountable to do that.
So what is it that I'm missing the bottom line, what's,
I'm suggesting
Yeah.
that consideration should be given for funding Cheryl for the basic $10,000 to support and conduct 4 quarterly meetings during 2020.
okay, and would economic development, how would you be involved in this process?
We could help manage that.
There are, from what I see, their interest in, there's some areas you guys have a dog in the fight to help do, like Rod.
We have a dog in the fight in
many-
everything.
Right.
I mean, whether it's accepted or not, we're interested in economic development.
But they are not
of the whole
acting as the county, they're acting as would be a contract with us to go implement the plan. So, and I don't know, is that gonna cost us, Charles, if you're gonna manage it?
Well, he just said they didn't wanna manage
He
it.
just said he.
Well,
He would
Yeah,
help
and he said he
facilitate
did.
those
there's a
meetings.
degree
right?
of coordination that I think is part and parcel with Cheryl,
Working with Cheryl.
that needs to be done, and there is certain parts, scheduling, room availability, advertising, that's a local function that's certainly necessary
Sure.
for the accomplishment of it.
Well, the kind of thing that I have this concern about, we get Cheryl down, and we have the organizations here, and you're gonna do this, and you're gonna do that, to the different organizations, and this is what the plan is, and you're gonna execute this. Who's gonna ride herd over that? That's what, somebody needs to be, kinda like we have all our departments come in front of us to tell us what they're up to, what they did from last month to this month. But the strategic plan, Cheryl coming down and facilitating, tourism, just for one, you need to be working on this project. And who's gonna oversee that? Who's gonna watch to make sure that those things are done? And
My
that's-
interpretation of what he said, Jane, you can correct me, that's Cheryl's $10,000. She's not gonna get paid $10,000 to come up here for a meeting once a quarter. She would have to coordinate, and she did it with our strategic plan, she actually made the appointments
So,
for the
is it
meetings.
correct that Cheryl will then be
She'd be the
the
principal.
Yes.
coordinator
Yes.
of the process for approximate $10,000 fee, which would include 4 meetings and the ongoing,
Coordination to make it happen.
is that right?
I believe so.
Okay.
Now, to the extent that the
Okay.
detailed
If
statement.
it's not, that's the way it should be.
Well, I understand, but that's not the way I understood it. And it's probably me not interpreting what you were saying properly. I'm not saying anything wrong. You can answer that if you want, or maybe
No.
the pizza guy. Who knows?
Well, here's my perspective. We better dust off a place on the shelf or make another slot in that file cabinet. I won't support spending $65,000 to implement this strategic plan.
I was
No.
at
Don't,
10,000.
No,
please
10,000 is what it is.
pull that off the table.
Good, consider it pulled off for me.
Well,
Well,
what
that's
she
the same
said
here.
was, she was looking at what she interpreted the tasking of various points of contact, various functions. And it was, if these people aren't doing it, and those organizations, hear what it would cost, her projection to do that. So I think
But the
appropriate
but
confirmation is
he's
10,000.
100% right, the bottom line with me, too, is that's the reason you have those other organizations that own those pieces, they're accountable for it, and if it's by them, volunteering to do things, things that get coordinated together, that's how it should be, or paid for by however they think we raise, whatever. The $10,000, somebody needs to perform the function of making sure that they're sending out the emails, they're coordinating it, they're working with these people so that those actions are either being accounted for or being reported, so that we have the ability to build the fire under them if they need the fire. Or it does sit with cost.
And I think if, on any particular item, if we can't get a responsible point of contact that will follow up on it, then obviously the community has not got interest enough.
That's right. You
to
say, you guys
pursue it.
wanted to do this was your plan, you developed it, that was your item, it wasn't something the commissioners invented, and they ought to own it. And from what I've seen, there's enough, people that were interested in doing that. I think that's just a prod from, just like any other organization that you get volunteers to do, somebody has to continually prod them.
So, the last time we met, if I understand this correctly, you had said that you would consider taking the lead on this. That has changed, you're saying probably not gonna take the lead on this.
I'm suggesting that the economic development would, from an oversight situation, we would coordinate the
Work with sheriff.
working with sheriff.
I don't know why we would need that,
So
but if
you would be the county's contact with Cheryl to get this process working?
Yes.
Thank you. That's where I was, that point is where I was missing.
I mean, I've had a dialogue with Cheryl for,
Sure.
what is it, almost 6 years now. And getting the grant, trying to get it before and stuff like that. So we've got a good working relationship and to that extent, but on the detail work, our capabilities within economic development
fully understand
are
that.
certainly not.
So what would you
increased.
envision you're doing then to do that? You're just gonna talk to her on the phone once in a while?
Well, and get the feedback from her and then relate it in turn to you all.
Well, that's
Or
just being the
the
middleman, and I don't know, that doesn't make sense. I
Where's
mean,
that come from?
she can, as we've done it in the past, pretty well.
If you wanna do it,
I do
Go
not,
right ahead.
I think it's a good idea that we need somebody, but it would usually be a county employee, I would think. If we don't need that, I'm good with Charles being president. I don't know, that's what I'm saying. Right now, when we did the strategic plan, I did it. I'm not suggesting that I should be the one that Cheryl does do, but I do think that if Charles wants to do that, it's gonna take some time to do it right. And is it gonna cost us anything to do that?
Well, I think.
I had best keep my mouth shut right now, cause I've got some thoughts that would probably derail this conversation.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, if it's anywhere near 65 grand, it will.
No,
But I
forget
get
that, I'm
what you're
sorry,
saying. No.
I tried to relate that
Yeah.
in the right context,
Okay,
and if I
then
didn't.
I took it out of context, how's that, so.
But I think it does reflect, one thing is, for as a community, for us to do these things, there is effort to do it right, and I think we all respect, Cheryl's opinion of what the task would be, and it does put a degree of, order of magnitude of what the effort is, whether it's
Right.
volunteer, paid for, or whatever, to pull off some of these things.
So if I could speak just for a moment, we spent a lot of money to develop this plan, as do the two towns, but that's not on that table right now. I think it would be a total waste of our taxpayers' money to not follow up, not have a professional follow up, whether it's you or it's Cheryl or whomever. It's not gonna be me, cause I don't understand it. I mean, I gotta know what the plan says, but as far as implementing it, I don't know. So I think it would be a terrible waste of money, time, and effort that went into developing the plan without the proper follow-up. And I think what you're suggesting is having Cheryl and it seems like a very nominal fee to me, to help get this plan moving forward and not become a dust collector and a waste of cash, like so many previous ones have been. This really makes sense to me. My question is, we just signed the budget this morning. Is there money available in a grant Or is this something we're gonna have to find somewhere, 10 grand somewhere to take care of this?
Depends on how soon, we want to implement it, and we've already eaten time, and all this takes time.
If we need to implement it ASAP, the longer we wait, the less this plan stays prime and effective and ready to go.
Mr. Cannon?
I agree. Again, we need an implementation plan, we've got it, and actually, we've been tracking to it. If you look at the implementation, the items there, we're working on broadband, we're doing, lots of things that are there. It needs structure, and the structure comes when you get somebody like Cheryl, who is going to coordinate the organizations that signed up on the dotted line that they're gonna go do X, Y, and Z. That we've already established, and also you need to modify that as time goes as well. It's important to get in front of us. The contract is with us, not with Charles, through Charles to do. We're gonna contract with Cheryl, cause it's our money and it's our authority. And we can ask her to coordinate things with Charles and have him help, I think that's fine. But she is gonna be the professional we're gonna hire to make sure that we're getting the people together. I think that's a great thing.
Where it does. Where's the money gonna come from?
Now, so therefore, where does the money come from, and what, can we do it in $10 and $2,500 chunks? Or do we have to pay the whole thing up front? We need to work the details of the contract out. Are we willing to do that is the first question. You know, and I think you made a good case that neither Tom and I or you have the time to do it personally. But we still need a lead, so in the discussion, my part of that.
Okay, well, I would think if you want further discussion, which I guess it merits further discussion, we'll put it on the agenda and move on.
Let's do that.
We've taken Mr. Vogel's suggestions, direction. I don't know what else we can ask from him at this point.
No, I agree. I appreciate you taking us to this point. We were sitting here right this minute, because before you got involved with her, we were nowhere. Okay, so at least we're working towards an implementation. Would it make sense at this point to ask Cheryl to give us a proposal? Let us evaluate that. I feel very comfortable with economic development being the conduit between the county and the implementation process. I'm fine with that. I'm not speaking for my fellow commissioners, but I'm good with that. I just wanna see it moving forward. I just don't wanna throw away all that money.
That's certainly a mutual goal. We've raised expectations within the community. We did have a lot of involvement. And I think, collectively, I've said in various meetings to various folks, it's the first time that the three governments in this county have come up with this comprehensive, long-term plan economically as,
Yeah, and they tie their own strategic plans into it, so it's very.
and there's certainly still points of coordination, that were identified and need to follow up.
And we do need more than just bringing it to a commissioners meeting and saying, hey, we're here. We need actual community involvement, which is what she's proposing, and actually get the implementation people together in a room to do that. And somebody needs to coordinate, and that's, Jay, you made a good point. That would be what she would be doing. So, do we wanna execute this in another meeting?
I think so.
Let's get,
Let's ask if we could,
Let's get her to-
Charles would follow up with Cheryl, if you would be happy to, if you would do that for us, I'd appreciate it.
Mhm.
Ask her to either give us a synopsis and even a contract if she wants to, laying out what we're gonna be getting, what the total cost would be. I understand there may be add-ons that she could do if we chose to do it.
Options.
It's
I think.
fine
Yeah,
to look
options.
at that. I mean, do we want pepperoni on the pizza or not? Do we pay extra? I get it. That's not a problem. So I would say, let's agree with the three of us, let's keep this ball rolling. It's done. Charles got it rolling, let's get
keep
it going.
And I know Cheryl has the concept of what we intend, and I know she has we've discussed that at length with her, so I'm comfortable with her coming back with a
Is
proposal.
that consensus that we could ask Charles to do
I
that?
think we move forward, yeah, I don't.
We gotta
I don't
get,
know if I buy into the whole 10 grand thing, but.
no, I have not, didn't say I'd bought
We
into
can-
it either.
Yeah,
Can
we
have a
should-
conversation about
no, we don't know the
that.
details.
We'll see. Question, ma'am?
Is this going to include the two towns, or is the county gonna pay, I mean, didn't the
We
two
talked
towns?
about the county.
It's as far as the county plan affects the towns, Jackie,
So-
and then
so
the
this
tie-in
is-
would be them.
So these
this
meetings will not include the towns?
I would certainly think they
It
would,
does,
yes.
because they're in our
I
plan.
don't anticipate them bearing any of the financial burden.
Just don't know, we haven't asked
I
them.
said I anticipate that, I didn't say
Well,
they wouldn't.
apparently, from conversations, she's got some follow-up tasks with both towns.
Right,
So,
that they're paying for.
that they're paying for, so as part of their efforts.
See, so to the concept, and maybe I'm not stating it clearly enough, that there are items on our strategic plan that do involve the towns, and they had the input in helping develop it for us. They will have to be here to help the county plan out, and they ought to be getting that back into their side of their plans, that she's working for them and being paid for by
So
them.
she's just working separately at this point with the towns
Right.
on their
She
strategic plans
did that
and
each.
charging
They hired
them
her to do
They
it.
hired
their,
her.
their, whatever she
And
charges them.
I think to characterize it, there's, how I characterize it, there's an umbrella plan for the whole county to including the two towns, and then there's a more detailed
Each town.
implementation between each town.
That's correct.
That they hired and contracted for her separate.
And they actually
Nothing to do
finished
with the
theirs
county.
up, in September or sometime, I forget.
But I know she told me she's got plans after the first of the year to visit both towns, so.
And it's really fortunate that she did each town, wasn't a separate
Oh, yeah.
contractor.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly some continuity. I'll seek a detailed contract with statement of work, and, I don't know how long that takes, I can't imagine, but, as soon as it's available, I'll relate it.
Okay, when
Good.
you shoot me an email, we'll put it back on the agenda, put it back on the agenda.
Kind of related, but stretching it, and it's not on the agenda, but I did send each of y'all a copy last night. As y'all know, in 2020, we've got a census, and it does affect economic aspect of what Beth Lynn said, of what the impact is, and to the fact that apparently there's a deficit organizationally. And I did send it not only to the three of y'all, but to each of the two mayors, because it had indicated that maybe it hadn't gotten to them, but they were, talking about a committee, and part of the thing, which I thought was quite enlightening, is that, we had, like a 26.5% undercount in the 2010 election, and that has a direct relationship on, governmental subsidies and all, it means money.
Do you remember the number?
It's in the message, yeah, what she said was that in the 2010 census, there was a 26.5% undercount. And she projected that with a current population of 4,873, over the life of between the 2020 and the 2030 census, that could mean as much as in excess of $17 million.
That was for 770 persons that got mixed.
Yeah. And one of the
Over a
other.
10-year period.
Over 10, well, yeah, talking, 1.7 mil
Right.
plus a year. One of the other things that will be important to us is not the general census, but on the long form, I understand there will be a veteran count this year, and that certainly affects, the support that the VSO gets and a lot of other things as far as qualifying, because the 2010 census said 20% of the population in this county were veterans. And some of us would suggest that it's larger than that now, because of the ones of us that have moved in here since 2010. And so to have some emphasis from the governmental agencies, and there is apparently a need still for a committee, and I would assume a committee of citizens that would certainly help get the word out and such, to participate in the census.
So how would you propose the emphasis be? done, Charles?
I don't know, but I know Beth and the COG have got, she indicated there's resources, and if we want,
People go door to door and knock
that's
on
part
them.
of it. And one of the things, they're offering jobs that,
Right, there's money to pay.
yeah, there's not bad part-time jobs.
$20 an hour.
That's
Yeah.
good. They,
Okay.
pretty good.
But it hasn't, I mean, I've been on the circulation, for a number of months. I'm sure Beth could, come down, or one of the staff there would come down if we want to have a workshop on how it might be best supported. But I think from near term and long term, it's a benefit to us to support that effort, because obviously it only happens every 10 years.
Right.
So-
Another great opportunity to collaborate with the two towns, we can get Beth down.
And like I
there.
say, I sent the same message to both Steve and them, so, and Paul, so
Okay,
now's the time to do something on that.
all right, sir, thank you, appreciate it, thanks for your patience.
Yep, thanks a lot.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me-
Next item of business, consideration of I know the word temporary came along somewhere, contract with Freecom. Sheriff Byerly, would you like to come up and have a roundtable discussion, including council and,
Temporary is the word I inserted, because this is
Okay.
to sort of tide them over. They've been operating on
thank you,
handshake.
Charles,
Very soon.
thanks for waiting.
Thanks for your patience and your phone to be able to continue.
Crush my hand.
How are you? You doing all right? Very good, Kelly. Good. So are you gonna use this table and just add on to it, or are you doing a whole new
I
building?
actually had that conversation, but I think now we're gonna do a new one.
It's too bad you couldn't use that old end cut one that's over there at in the wood shop that they pulled out of the sheriff's office. It's that old, it's similar to it matches the wood in the
Right.
courts.
Oh,
It has
yeah.
that end cut oak, and
Had that conversation as well, went and looked at it.
it's pretty.
Too hard.
It's a lot prettier than this thing.
Yeah, it's a little longer than this, but,
Yeah.
it's got issues for what we were thinking,
Yeah.
but I'll go look again, but I just went over there last week and,
No, it's
Yeah.
too bad you couldn't use it, is all I was saying.
yeah.
It's just
So,
'cause it's-
let's see, why can't I find it now that we're here?
Do you have it?
What are we looking for?
Kara, that agreement that I sent you, can you forward it to them? I thought maybe we
I
did.
had it, I don't know what I did
Yeah,
with
I
it.
thought that I did
Very
this.
weird.
Well,
But
you-
yeah, I'll do it again right now, yes.
The
sir.
whole agreement?
Yeah, it's
This
only
is
a
a
couple pages, it's only, I think,
short
2 or
one.
3 pages.
Well, that's very strange. Unless I put it on December the 6th by mistake.
Who sent it to who?
It's in an email from this morning, May 23rd.
It was, this morning, cause I was waiting to hear from Shannon, and so I had not sent anything yet.
8:22.
But I just sent it,
9/22?
sending it to y'all again.
This morning, 8:22,
Oh,
was the
8:22.
time came in.
I thought I
Yeah, I don't
transferred it. but-
Temporary agreement from Freecom. I didn't get a copy.
The problem was,
I got
Richard Mandel, who's the attorney for CRCA/Freecom. So he sent one, I thought it was 10 days ago or so, it might have been early last week. I looked over it, he sent it to Clint and I both, and then I looked over it and everything was fine, except for it didn't have your names on there as for the
Right.
signature, so I corrected it all and sent it back to him and said, so this is how it should be, but it was an editable document at that time. I said, so this is what the corrections finalize it, send it back to me, because we have a meeting on the 5th or the 6th, and I can get on that. And he never sent one back. He says that he did, he says that he sent one to Clint and I, but he did not.
I didn't get anything.
What
So-
was the difference, you know?
Well, it's
Well,
just the signature lines is all.
That's it?
That was the only difference, but I mean, I wanted it to be right, so then
Right.
you sign it and we're done, instead of, having to reroute it back to you, but,
That's what you did.
essentially, so the agreement is, as we've talked, that they will provide dispatch services to us,
and then the cost that it'll be, to the county for those dispatch services. It's prorated through, 2020, so that, we can get through that, and then after, December of next year, then we will pay at the same, rate calculation as everybody else that participates in, free comp. 2020 is, what we're paying is reflective of us buying into the, a voter position on that CRCA board.
So it's for two TEs and, what else?
So there's 3 full-time employees actually.
Part A.
But this is
two.
just a temporary agreement retroactive to October 1, when they took over the dispatch for us.
Correct.
And this is to tide us over until no later than June 1, 2020, when there'll be a final intergovernmental agreement
Right.
presented. But
Help me over. I'm kind of remembering that to be a voting member on the board, you buy into that, is that correct?
Basically, because all of the entities, there's 5 entities right now that are voting members on the CRCA, and that's what it's that Combined Regional Communication Authority. So, they're the ones that basically fronted the money and collectively went to get the center up and running. So, in order to become a voting member, you have to kind of buy into some of that. And so, the biggest expense we had was, just putting a new workstation down there in the comm center, for another position, of dispatch.
So
And that's already been done.
Quick question.
Mhm.
It says 2 on this one. Is this an old one that we got sent today?
Evidently then, cause it's not
And and
not
it-
2, it's 3.
It did say there would be a workstation provided for
Yep,
dispatch.
and that's already done.
So, is that those salaries covered under what we were paying for
Correct.
before, right?
Yes.
And then with some
Right.
left over that you moved some guys, you changed something as well.
Yeah, so there's no, so
Nobody's
there's no
losing a
additional
job.
monies
Right.
coming out of my
Right.
comm budget, no.
Right.
In fact, there'll be some real savings, when all is said and done. I mean, we're almost to that point now, we've only got 27 days left in the month.
Okay.
And I clearly heard what you said. I thought it was 2 FTEs.
So originally that was the discussion, however, they quickly realized that you can't provide 24-hour a day dispatch with 2 full-time employees, you've gotta have 3.
12-hour shifts, and
Right.
somebody gets sick, and then you're done.
Right. And what had happened is in the original talks, with the board, chairman, Chief Delvecchio, we had thought that 2 would be enough, but then when they went to the whole board, and then after we've been up and running now for a couple months, the board was like, look, you guys are busier than we anticipated, and so there has to be a third person.
Right.
And we're already using we were using 3 people anyway, so.
So we
So I
just-
agreed to that because, again, we wanna pay our fair share,
Okay.
and we are. So we're still getting really good value for what we're paying.
At the end of November, we paid for 2 salaries.
We did.
End of December,
We'll
if
pay,
we sign this, we'll pay for 3.
yeah, and we'll back pay for the third one also. That's what this is gonna be retroactive to October 1.
And is that, I saw that, that's true. And is that money coming out of,
Out of the.
Comms
yeah,
budget?
Yeah, out of the dispatch budget that I have. We'll still be under budget.
okay, okay.
You're okay with this?
So I have
Yes,
changed
sir.
then from 2 to 3. I changed on this document, there was just some wording, it said Custer County will compensate CRCA for the amount of these salaries, and I took that out and just put in Custer Custer will compensate CRCA for these salaries and benefits. Didn't have to be the amount of, it's whatever it is.
Or you can
It
put
just
retro
got
in.
very, it's already in here.
Is it in there? I didn't see that.
See, I don't
October-
have, I
It
don't
says
have
as
the
of
one that
October.
you're, see
Right.
again, because I don't know which one you're looking at,
Right.
cause there were a couple, and the one that I sent back to Richard.
Yeah, that's the one we were looking at, and that's the one I just edited to add all three
Yes, it is.
signatures.
Yeah, see, that's the one that I,
But I
No,
just
he
did it.
modified
I
that,
got you.
that's the
Yeah.
soft copy.
Okay.
So,
Print.
because of what you just said, that you added that other commissioner line, I did it on this document.
so this is
deal
what
with
you're
it
looking
today.
at.
Well, I don't know, I haven't seen that.
That's what he looked at and he modified that.
I have not seen that.
Did you pull up the 8/22 time? That's what I pulled.
Okay, I don't know until I look at it.
Yeah,
I don't recognize the boxes on the bottom.
Here,
that's
just look
because
at this
that's
real
a-
fast, let's make sure that we're looking at the
So,
same
right.
one, this is,
That I pulled up off of the 8/22.
Okay, that's just a
And it's
condensed
got the
version of
condensed
that.
of that.
Yeah,
So the
Because-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
there it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a text box that
That's
they added.
exactly
Right.
why it came out that
So,
way.
yes,
okay, so
I
can
would
I see
say.
that? So let me just make sure that it's all,
So on number,
Is it 2A that you're changing from 2 to 3 FTE?
that is correct,
Yeah.
yes. Spelled out 3 and put 3 in parentheses, the numerical,
yes, so that should be 3,
okay?
uh,
Prorated from October 1 through December 31. That's why you inserted the word temporary, correct, council? Because it was just until the end of the year?
It's temporary on that one.
correct.
No.
It's my understanding this will stay in effect until we come up with a permanent IGA no later than June 1, 2020.
So, but
No, I
if you'll
take
s-
it back, it just says through December 31, my mistake.
Right, so we'll have to,
So they're gonna do another one or what?
well, we can amend this.
What do you wanna do? What are you doing, Shannon?
So the parties agreed to work together to amend this present IGA by no later than June 1 if we have to.
So the,
Which
no,
obviously-
no, so let me just clarify, so this agreement will be in effect through December 31 of 2020.
Boop.
So all of next year.
Okay, so we need to take that back. It's not what it says. It
I
says
know, but
2019.
it is.
Okay,
It is, we're going to pay the salary and benefits of 3 dispatchers through December 31 of 2020.
And
This,
and that's
this
your-
is not the one that I sent back
Okay,
to Mr.
all right.
Mandel, so
so I made the change.
those changes had to be made. So that's gonna be in effect simply because we can't change mid-year what the budget looks like for CRCA or for us, quite honestly, right? So it was easier to calculate through December of next year what we're going to pay and just keep that
Work your
steady.
new budget for 2021.
And that's correct.
Okay.
Now, what we're going to do with the IGA is, see, so when CRCA first originated, they did the IGA for the 5 entities that were coming on. Their intent was that eventually they were going to have other entities outside of that county, but they didn't set up the original IGA with any specific guidelines on how they would bring someone in,
Right.
all the procedures to go through. So they recognize that a new IGA needs to be put together to formally bring us on as a voting member on the CRCA. So what that IGA that they're talking about will be done by no later than June 1, will establish those parameters, and we'll be able to help formulate those because we're the first group that's coming on outside of their county,
So you're
if
gonna
that
leave-
makes sense.
Yeah. you
And
wanna leave
then, from January 1, 2021, moving forward,
Be your
our
budget
rate
that
will
you
be
built.
calculated the same as everybody
And your
else's.
budget will reflect the less.
Correct.
So you wanna leave June 1, 2020 in there.
Yes, sir.
But
And,
needs to change. In consideration of services provided to Custer, CRCA will receive the following
thank you.
through 2020.
Yes.
for the remainder of 2019 and 2020, right?
That's what, yeah, that's
So you
right.
could just say
Through
through
2020, that's what I did it, but you
Yeah,
could do
that-
it any way you like.
That'd be
That'd be
cleaner.
cleaner.
So we'll receive the following through,
December 2020.
I just put 2020.
Oh yeah, that's even cleaner. That doesn't sound very lawyer-esque, Mr. Prince.
Want me to
You need
write-
to
you
look.
want
You
me
get
to
paid by
write
the word.
3
Put it for
pages
him,
for
we're,
this one line? I can't,
Party
I
in the
promise
first
you.
part agrees to.
I think
okay,
party in the second
any
part's a
other
gift,
changes
right?
you're aware of, Sheriff Byerly?
I'm just a dumb.
No, that should be it, I think.
Okay.
Good simple agreement.
It is simple.
Okay, well, so that we can get this moving, I'm gonna go ahead, I'll move that we approve the agreement for the provision of dispatch services, temporary through December 31st, 2020, contract as presented.
Yes.
My second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agreement for and between CRCA and Custer County. I have a question, council. Is this an intergovernmental agreement?
No, that's not a governmental entity.
Okay. They say they're an intergovernmental agency.
Well, I don't think it's set up as a separate taxing entity. It's not a political subdivision of the state of Colorado, so, and that's what intergovernmental agreements are for. I mean, they can call it an intergovernmental agreement, I guess, cause ultimately it will be an agreement between Custer County
County
and
and
Kansas. But for right now, we're just agreeing directly with CRCA.
I don't know who put this wording in here, it doesn't matter, but certainly they're very interested in knowing how we vote individually, but they only have a signature line for their chair.
Yeah, so
Are they gonna vote on this document? Or does the chair just sign it in the room?
They already have voted on it as a board. CRCA is,
They accepted it with 3 FTEs.
right,
This
correct,
document,
this document, yeah.
As it was changed, the way you changed it.
So communication with CRCA is
maybe
Ironically-
communication isn't good with the
is
place.
challenging.
right.
We'll just leave it at that.
So if we sign this,
Challenge.
it'll be like it is there, they'll go back and look, and if it doesn't agree with what they agreed to, we'll know about it. Cause
Well,
they
right,
gotta sign it.
right, cause they have to sign it
They have to
still,
sign
that's
that.
correct.
And they refer to it as a resolution, and it's not a resolution. I mean, that's what they had here.
Yeah, so straighten that over
I didn't see resolution, I just saw agreement.
It says the resolution was declared to be duly
Oh,
adopted,
down
and roll
below.
call vote of the board.
Maybe that was the resolution they agreed to.
Then I would, because we are gonna sign that, I would change that to the agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that is.
There's no resolution to it, thank you, council, I did not see that.
I'm gonna guess he pilfered some of this from somewhere else and.
That's what lawyers do, we don't do anything original.
And it's not gonna be a roll call vote, so we'll take that out. The vote of the board was as follows. And that's screwed up too. That's not correct.
I would just take all that out and just have a place for you to sign.
I agree, because they have nay, absent, and abstain, they don't have a yay down there.
Yeah.
So we'll
I
just
saw
take
that, I
that.
was that's
Take
pretty
it.
funny.
Take that out.
Nay, abstain, or absent.
We should have more of
not
those
approve.
on spending issues. Nay, abstain, and
Yeah,
not there.
Absent.
Why don't you send me
let me see if I can delete this stuff.
Okay, got it.
and me?
I'll keep that. That's your room.
I think I'll go back to billing by the hour.
You should.
I'd be a millionaire.
I think your next contract ought to say anything past.
Or they wouldn't have a
Lunch
contract.
provided.
They realize they don't need me.
Man, brother.
Yeah, real quick, we'll figure out what you're worth. You want some coffee, Jay?
No, I just had some, but thank you, I appreciate the offer. Maybe some
Bologna
speed.
sandwiches.
Bologna sandwiches are next.
I'm good.
Well, for some reason I can't get that deleted.
Bring something totally different up while the sheriff's in here.
You may.
National.
What is that over on that side? What is
There
it?
is Senate Bill 19-008, funding for sheriffs to substance abuse.
Grab a corner and
Familiar
squeeze
with
it
that?
together.
Well,
I'm not abusing any substances yet.
Okay, then.
No,
I hope you find it.
which one is it?
This is Senate Bill 19-008, and I took the gentleman's name and information down if we had any interest. Apparently this organization, the National Prevention of Opiates,
Oh, yeah.
they have money to help sheriff departments and others fight substance abuse. I didn't know if you had any interest in that. I wrote it down just in case you did.
So I know it's in about, so that's the, they call it MAT. It's requirements that the legislature is trying to, unfunded mandates,
Yeah,
you know,
we
'cause
talked
that's
to
what-
your governor.
that's what they're the best at. To force us to have to do a whole bunch of treatment for those that are addicted to opiates, not only in our jail, but before they leave, we'll be responsible that people continue treatment when they leave our jail.
How can you do that?
Well, that's a grand question, Bill. But that's not what they're concerned about, and so I'm sure that that's grant monies to help with programs like that. I mean, maybe they can pay for a treatment center to actually come to Custer County that we would then be able to use.
Well, they have a mobile opiate van. It's very interesting. And they listed all the rural counties they went to. Custer's not listed. I asked him why. He says, I guess we forgot. I said, and therein lies the problem.
But you want some money.
So,
Yeah, maybe if you could send me over that
I'll send you
information if you don't mind, yeah.
Sure.
did you make the motion, sir?
Yes,
I second it.
but you can make it if you want.
No, I don't want my name on this mess.
When the lawsuits start flying, I don't want my name on any of this stuff.
And I don't know. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Carried. Kara, I'm gonna send this to the printer if you don't mind.
Okay.
While we're waiting on that, since you have me on the, or have this issue on the agenda twice, I'm gonna jump in with one other thing.
We deleted
It'll take-
one,
It'll
yeah.
literally take 2 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I just need a signature from, the board accepting the black and gray marijuana grant that we just, received again, $14,464.46.
Way to go.
We received a $17,000 grant back in September, and wasn't notified of it. They deposited it or they sent a check to the treasurer. The treasurer deposited it, never told us. We had no clue. So we've got about with the acceptance of this grant, we'll have about $31,000 roughly.
When's it effective?
So this has been awarded. So once we send this back to them, they'll cut us a check.
Before the end of the year?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we got notice yesterday.
14,464.46.
So was that were you projecting that
I'll
would
make a copy for
be
you.
something we could expect, Shannon, when you built the budget?
No,
So this is an addition?
right, so this black and gray marijuana, so basically this is marijuana money, from tax dollars collected in the state. We don't even apply for this now. We applied the first 2
It's
times.
like an oil
and-
dividend in Alaska.
Almost. So now they just, like we get this letter that says, congratulations, you received another grant in the amount of
Drug
this,
addicts
these
out
dollars,
there,
so.
the rest of them.
We did apply for this one, correct? Did we
This?
send
No.
in an app for this? I thought we did.
No, not anymore.
I thought this was the last one.
They don't, they just, they'll send us a document that says, you're eligible for this grant and do you want it, you know? And we say,
Well,
sure.
what fool would say no?
And then they say, well, here you go, so if we could
Restricted
just,
funds,
right,
obviously.
they are restricted to marijuana enforcement
that was-
investigations, but,
You know, you said that they were talking about the same organization, talking about the opiate lawsuits,
Probably need
and counties
put
have
some
to
mandate
opt
on this
out,
one.
if not, they're part of it.
What do you care?
And you said there were 2 counties in the state that opted out of receiving opiate money. Fortunately, we're not one of them. I thought that was very interesting. Why would anybody opt out of that?
probably because of some of the strings that come with it.
Can't, but
Cause it'll end up costing more.
Automatically in.
No, I was wondering if it needed to be in.
I could get rid of it. At any rate,
So that,
do we need to file this with you?
so those funds, Shannon, go to
Probably.
help with like uniforms and stuff that is damaged during marijuana.
Well, yeah, if
Bust
something
and
was damaged during
Not on
or a raid
that.
or an investigation or something, yes, and then also for just equipment. With the largest part we've spent so far was on that Connex project we did there, for storing all of the, so that we could clear up the rest of our evidence locker
October.
and keep all that drugs and all that
Red lighted out.
smell outside in the Connex and not in the buildings, so.
Okay.
So we got a mistake there, sir.
Okay.
Last line of the first paragraph was October, so I changed it to the 5th day of December.
Okay.
I'm gonna reprint that. I asked Kelly if we needed a signature line for her. Do you think we do? I haven't sent it yet, Kara. She said she didn't really care what it was.
All I do, I mean, all I sign it for is attesting your
Signatures.
signatures, so.
I'll put it on there. So hold on just a second, ma'am.
Put a seal on it then.
I just thought I'd mention, looking at the schedule, I have a board meeting at 4 o'clock.
So we're gonna call that,
Yeah, we gotta get
I hate to
this.
break it to you, but you're not gonna make it.
I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, I'm a little worried about
I'm a little worried about my own funeral at this point.
I don't know if you might be
well, you sit here and witnessed a bunch of it.
Well, that's his point. Why do we
You know now, don't you?
Well, we can help spur them on.
Why don't we
So,
just have more meetings?
Oh,
No.
could we please?
oh crap, that wasn't the right paper. We gotta go back and do those resolutions again. She's bringing it, we'll re-sign it. Had the wrong date on it.
Okay, let's jump the gun here a little bit.
Well, we are,
So I wanna move, we accept replacing all those light bulbs.
well, it's already been
Why
done.
is that even on?
Why is it on?
I know, it's like, oh
So-
gee, let's consider replacing broken light bulbs. What?
The agenda for the BOCC to change light bulbs.
That
who's
kinda
paying
looks,
for it.
makes it look a
Good to
little
see you.
silly.
Dark skies is.
Yeah.
You're gonna take this with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good to see you, brother. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Great to see you.
Yeah, the
That's
light
nice.
bulbs have been, we turned that over to Huff. There's some frustration. I told you last time I'd follow up on it.
Yeah.
I've been out of town, I will follow up on it. He was gonna order them and install them.
I did, so.
And send us
Can I
a-
just?
So that's all we need to know for that.
Electric copy?
That's fine.
Okay, so I'll scan
It's
it.
probably considered a bribe, quid pro quo, you know, we're gonna pay for this and then
Yeah.
come back with all kinds of zoning
Thank you, sir.
resolutions.
About to get impeached.
So the next item of business is consideration of a letter to the West Custer County Hospital District Board of Directors.
Why are we doing
I
that?
believe we have that.
Find it.
If we need to, we can take a 3 or 4 hour recess and then you can go do all your stuff and we can come back. Apparently not.
Talking to me?
Let's get it
Anybody,
done.
yeah.
No, I'm fine. I just,
Why
the
would
town meetings at 4, that's all I have.
I don't have that
Oh,
one.
shoot.
You know, I'm not sure I do either.
What was it?
Hospital, library board? Oh, no, hospital.
Hospital board, I have it. Well,
I do not.
I had it on my, in my sent file and I pulled it out.
I don't know that.
So when did it get sent?
It hasn't been sent yet. The email was sent out to you last Saturday, I think, is when
I'm
it was
actually
Friday,
just-
Saturday.
Are you looking at the hospital lady?
No.
In case there's an
Cause
uprising.
Tom had a couple
you
of
can
changes
get under
with
control.
Jake.
I will think
Come from you?
under soup.
Yeah, originally, and then
Perfect, and then
So who,
I
so what,
I thought
what's
I
the
made
latest
some
and
better
greatest?
signature than a
cause then Tom sent out his
Okay.
changes and Jay
For
took
you
one of
want
his changes,
Scan like this.
and I didn't bring that with me. I'm
I
sorry.
have it. You want me to?
You got the most, you got the most revised ones?
Okay.
You-
Pardon?
Was that sent to me?
Who has the one with all the changes?
I do.
Let me
It's
get it.
right in there.
I don't think I ever sent it to you, I just sent it to them for their
Okay,
review
yeah,
and
so I don't think I had the letter.
changes. And I've got it on my laptop
I
at
have it.
home, I
We
don't
want
have
to do
room
it.
to bring my real laptop.
Email it to the two of you?
And the
Maybe
county,
when the new.
Yeah, that's fine.
The
I
county
saved
didn't
it,
give me a new
but I'm not
laptop.
sure I've got it saved
Down the
as the
hood
correct
button.
document.
Not
Well,
from-
Jay, do you mind emailing that to me as well?
I do that once in a while, and you gotta figure out what it is.
Sorry.
What?
I've got one dated blank 2019. That's the
That's
one
the one.
you're doing, correct?
He took that one and you modified it, didn't you, Jay?
Yeah, I had it just, there was one grammatical error and don't get mad at me, I went back to by a majority vote instead of the BOCC. That's just cause I felt I wanted to do that. Tom.
Or his lawyer, Ken,
Well, I've got the one you're sending, I believe, sir. I'm looking at it.
with his
Okay,
change.
You got it, and then send it to.
I don't know if it has his changes on it or not.
Bill Kanda, Kara.
Alright, I'll be looking for it.
I sent out my original letter or thing either last Friday or Saturday, I forget which day.
I'm gonna hit Tom.
I got it,
Unfortunately,
Jay.
mine still says, when it comes to you, it's gonna say narrative, I apologize for that.
It's fine.
I already got it.
He sent it with your changes, Tom, and his vote. Should be updated.
Can you put my name on there too, so I can.
I would be happy to.
When did you send it out originally?
Good, it's on its way.
Just out of curiosity.
Looks like, let's see.
He's got one on Saturday.
That would have been on 11/29.
So that's Saturday. Yeah, it would be. So he sent us back your changes, and then Jay's made a change on it, so we'll get the.
Yeah, when you see in red, not all these are my changes. Tom added,
I think I
in
did.
executive session to obtain legal advice. I took out the word aware of, just to be aware, and then I added by majority vote at the November 13th meeting, it was agreed that.
You already sent it now?
I sent it. Hopefully you
Yes,
got
I
it.
just got it.
I haven't got it yet.
So, do you wanna make these corrections, get it in a final format, and
I would say with these corrections, I'm ready to vote that we send it. It's time they got a response from us. We've been doodling around with this for quite a while.
I move we
Yeah.
accept the letter you just sent with the corrections in it and, correct it, send it. Cause that, I
So I'll go ahead and
think we read it
second
very
it
well.
to continue
So
discussion.
let's discuss it now, and we can get on.
That's fine.
it's been moved and seconded to
And I sent a response to Jay, in that paragraph that it says, as it turns out, the BOCC's delay Jay eliminated the word of.
Right.
Of needs to be there, but we can rephrase it, of which he was previously not aware. I had he was previously not aware of.
So did you send it to Clint
Okay,
too,
so
Jenny?
can we just take a time out a second here,
Sorry.
please? That's all right. Number one, I can't edit your letter for some reason, so I'm out. So
Well, you
we're
don't
gonna
need
make some
to.
corrections to it. You have the original. I would ask that you do that.
I would
Somebody
think
He
needs
did,
to.
well, I know, that's what, he just sent us the
We
corrected one
can't
on.
send that letter to the
No,
board.
no, we're not, but, we can look at the corrections, make sure all that's correct, so I'm
Exactly
right
what I'm
now.
proposing,
Okay.
that
And then-
Commissioner Prince handle
Do
the
it
changing,
right
because
this
I
minute.
cannot do it
Yeah, I
on
got
his
it.
Vision
format.
that he was
That's all
not
I'm saying.
previously aware.
So
Of
if
which
you would
he was
indicate
not
where you're
previously
at,
aware.
Okay.
Gentlemen.
Let me put that.
could you give us a page or a reference or a paragraph? I have no idea what you're talking
It's
about.
the
Very
paragraph that starts out, as it turns out, the
Okay.
BOCC's delay,
To the word provision on the fourth line.
of which he was previously not aware.
So you're deleting the word of?
No, I had, he was previously not aware of, Jay deleted of. I said, I sent back to all of you, I thought that of should be in there, but if he doesn't wanna end it with a preposition, then move it forward, of which he was previously not aware. Otherwise, just as a statutory provision, he was previously not aware.
Right.
What line is that?
Fourth line, I don't know how, second paragraph.
Second paragraph, fourth
page.
line,
1, 2, it's actually third paragraph.
Resend it.
third paragraph.
Well,
Okay, yeah, there it is.
first paragraph, second page, sorry.
As it turns out, the BOCC's delay in sending you a formal offer or counteroffer regarding the committee's recommendation has proven to be fortuitous to both sides.
Yeah, and then the next sentence, during the course
Oh.
of his ongoing research, he stumbled across a
Comma.
statutory provision, of which he was previously not aware. So,
Of which he,
yeah.
Put a comma after that, research.
No, shouldn't be. a comma.
Prepositional phrase during, yes it is,
No, you,
I
Okay.
disagree.
that's what I learned.
okay, so let me just read that sentence. During the course of his ongoing research, our county attorney, quote, stumbled across, unquote, his characterization, a statutory provision of which he was not previously aware.
Previously, yeah.
of which he was previously not
I
aware.
would do it that way.
Correct?
Which he,
She was
I said
previously
it
not
the other way,
aware.
but
I know,
I'll put
I'm
it
just
any way you
asking,
want.
that's an ask, I'm not
Of
telling you, I'm
which he
asking.
was previously not aware.
Which he was
Previously.
previously not aware. Okay, that's what I have now.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't.
And do you have the one with Tom's in red where he has,
Yes,
in an executive session to obtain legal advice and
correct.
I think there was
Change
a,
that to black then.
Yeah, well, as soon as I accept all
Okay.
the changes,
All right.
it'll be black.
and I think there was also a word I left out. Oh,
I
yeah,
added
there it is.
of on
In
the next
pursuit
page.
of our mutual goal.
Second line,
Where's that?
second line, right, next page, sorry.
Still part of the same paragraph.
Oh, okay, I see it in there, okay.
No, the second line from the top on page 2.
Okay,
Doesn't matter what paragraph it's in, cause the paragraph's split.
yeah.
And then I'd like to go back to paragraph 1. After directors and those representing the BOCC period, I'd like to know what you have.
By majority vote, is that what you're talking?
Mm-hmm.
By majority vote at the November 13 meeting. It was agreed to accept the majority portion of the proposal.
You there, sir?
No, sir, I'm sorry, where are we?
Scroll up just, yeah, right there. Whoop, down just a little more, yeah.
Oh, like that?
Nope.
The other way,
I want this paragraph.
okay.
Representing the BOCC, where is that?
It's November 13th, Commissioner Prince
Sorry.
advised the
Can you scroll
BOCC of the proposed temporary plan that has been negotiated by those representing our board of directors. enrolls
This
for
paragraph,
the BOCC.
So this is what I'm interested in starting right there.
By majority vote.
Yes, at the November 13th meeting, is that correct? Is that what you have?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
It was agreed to accept a majority portion of the proposal.
A major portion?
I'm sorry, you're correct,
Okay.
it says major portion of the
Okay,
proposal.
alright. And then with these payments commencing January 1, then what, sir, do you have?
I have a period after January first.
Correct.
Then the majority of the BOCC disagreed with the suggestion that we pay you $4,000 for the remainder of the current fiscal year, for the reason that we already have a temporary agreement in place that does not expire until January 20th.
Okay. And then the next paragraph, first sentence, the letter prepared by Mr. Smith was just that. I have the word proposed in
I have
italics,
also.
is that correct?
That is correct.
That's how I prepared it, to emphasize, it was
Okay.
only proposed at that point.
Okay.
And that was because they went and voted on what was, we hadn't actually finished to finalize the,
And I made it very clear that it was a proposal.
okay.
Okay. So, we had a motion, correct? As it was, to accept this letter as it was.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll,
But we have a motion on the table.
okay. I can't, yeah, let's just vote.
So I'm gonna delete this because this is ridiculous. And we'll operate off of that, how's that?
Fine.
Cause this,
I'm gonna email it to
yeah,
whoever wants.
when it's faster. Further discussion?
You need lunch right there.
Assuming that's food.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
What are we voting on? Are we voting on?
We're voting
the
on to
revised
adopt,
one?
accept this letter as revised.
As revised?
Yes.
Aye.
Motion carries, 2 in favor, 1 no vote. Okay, so now will you send that?
Okay, now I will send this again to
Thank you.
everybody. You, okay.
Can you send
Let me try that again.
after you get it?
Okay,
Thank you.
propose. I gotta learn
And
how
I'm
to
also
change
gonna
it from
delete
Meredith to you, and I'm sorry I do that, I just don't know how to change it.
Oh.
Because if I put Meredith in there,
Right,
then it goes to her, but I don't know how to make a change from Meredith.
Yours is fine.
okay. Can you scroll over Meredith's name right there?
See, it's got the right place it's going,
Right, okay,
but I don't know how to make it
gotcha.
Kara.
Yeah, we gotta go back to, and try that, Carol.
Gotta go back and change your
Well,
address
okay.
book.
I've tried that before.
Yeah. When you get out of all this, you go back to the 2 on your new email
Okay,
and
let me
should
see
be able
this.
to correct it.
To Meredith, whoops, Clint. Tom, Bill,
Kelly.
Dawn. Kelly, you wanna copy this too?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on. Mr. Canada, are you gonna be in the meeting, or do you want to do a no vote? Because we're still in session.
Okay, I have Kara, Clint, Bill, Tom, and Kelly. Anybody else?
Okay.
Okay.
I'll get right back to you. Alright,
Okay, transfer of ESF.
okay, see you in a bit, bye. Cousin Bob had a heart attack.
Good boy.
Getting
Well, that's your week,
double
isn't it?
whammies here.
Just like the, things going through.
Well, you can always request a recess, sir, okay?
Alright, so, what are we voting
We're
on?
done, we're not, we're moving on.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a transfer of $30,000 from the general fund to the emergency services fund. And it's just a bookkeeping transfer.
I had this question asked to me when somebody must have looked at the agenda. And thank you for being here because I couldn't answer it. So I get that it's a bookkeeping thing. Did we not have enough money in that fund, or did they overspend the fund?
Initially, when we did the budget, we had to put a $30,000 transfer from the general fund to balance emergency service.
Okay,
And we just never transferred all the way to this time, hoping against hope we would not need it.
Got it.
We do
I remember
indeed
that.
need it.
so this is to follow up with that
Right, exactly.
anticipated transfer.
It's gonna take a
Yeah.
motion then.
They, yes, absolutely, yeah, they did not overspend by 30,000, that was the question that somebody asked me.
So we're just correcting the books that we agreed on the budget with earlier.
When we
So
just
I
did
move
it.
that we accept, or transfer $30,000 from the general fund to the emergency services fund to correct the bookkeeping that we set up initially.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to transfer $30,000 from general fund to the emergency services fund. Is the wording to correct the bookkeeping?
It was just to finalize
Transfer.
what you had
Finalize.
shown.
In order to finalize.
Because it wasn't a mistake,
Right,
that's
it
why I'm
was just what
saying
you
maybe
had
I
shown.
should say correct.
And it would have just been more ideal if we hadn't had to.
It was
Right.
it was.
We were hoping we wouldn't have to do this, right?
It was
So
to that's right, to finalize
okay.
the,
All right, you want that word
yeah,
instead of correct, because
yeah.
correct means we made a mistake
No,
somewhere, and it
no.
wasn't a mistake. You want with that, sir, as a second? So any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Actually, sorry, any public comment?
Oh,
Can you believe
that's
it?
a first.
Yeah, I know, all in favor, say aye.
To finalize.
To finalize the bookkeeping for 2019.
complete.
Right, finalize the bookkeeping for 2019. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Next item of business, consideration of the fire extinguishers in Wetmore Community Building. I received a phone call from Ruth Roper while I was at the conference, and the fire extinguisher people contacted her and said, we better come do these fire extinguishers. And guess what? The fire extinguishers never got replaced in the building after the remodel. There are no fire extinguishers down there.
None in there?
That's what Ruth Roper told me. So I said, well, she said, do you need a vote from the board to tell him to move forward? I said, I will bring it up to the board, but we don't have much choice. We have to
We
have
have to do it.
fire
How many are
extinguishers in there. Don't know. So she was gonna reach out to him and find that out. How many we needed, and what happened to the other ones, and so on and so forth. So
Alright, so-
I just put it on here that I think we should have a motion to
Think we
provide
should.
fire extinguishers in the Wetmore Community Building.
And before we do that, what would the fund be? 'Cause maybe we can make it all happen.
Buildings and
So we don't have to go back, right?
The funds,
Yeah, the
what
fund would
yeah,
come
it'd be
from
buildings and plans.
Plans, we've got enough in it.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
I'll go ahead, I'll move that we, authorize the, installation of fire extinguishers in the Whitmore Community Building, based upon recommendations that Ruth Roper makes to us, since she is a fire.
So you would authorize, it would be the purchase and the installation, right? 'Cause we got buy
Yeah.
them.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
and typically if you buy them, they install them, but yeah, purchase and installation. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to purchase and install fire extinguishers, based on Ruth Roper's recommendation and work with the fire extinguisher company. Further discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed nay. Motion carries.
Seems like somebody ought to look for the ones that they did have in there.
Yeah, we had that conversation. She said she was gonna try to track them down, so. Further items, gentlemen, that you're aware of? I hope not, because we didn't amend the agenda anymore.
We're done.
Public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Could I just do a follow-up on the questions that you asked of me earlier.
Yes, you may, yes, you can certainly come forward if you would like.
It's real quick, I
Okay.
talked to Sam Donardo,
Mhm.
he said he would not be able to speak to that.
Oh.
Whether you can, you cannot, he said that would be a legal question.
Okay.
And he said, for the clinic, their books are conceptually the same as ours, they're just departments and not funds. So it can be fragmented out, and they can show you what it is.
But it's not currently, I'm
On
assuming.
there,
Yeah.
and I couldn't speak
I
to
can't either,
that part, but it could be, he said absolutely,
It'd
because
just
it
be a
is
way
there.
they could show it to
Be-
themselves.
Because it is restricted, and he said as far as the legal authority to redirect those monies, he said he could not speak to that as well, but suggested that maybe Clint reach out to John Naylor, who used to contract with a firm in Denver who used to write our ballot questions. And he said they are really good at that type of thing, but he said he does not remember who John Naylor used to use for that.
Is it a law firm that John worked with?
It was, that it was a law firm, but like our road and bridge, that they could do it just right and have it take place, back for the 1-1, start immediately, and all those questions that come into play, that was his suggestion, and they could tell us anything we need to know about how, because they know how the mill is and that work.
Okay.
Do we need this on the other day? Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you following up with
That's the
that.
only way I have it.
Thanks, Don.
Eric put on there.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
Oh,
Larry,
yeah, he's
I
doing
would
that.
never put it on there.
Of course.
Alright, kiddo, I'm gonna send you this.
I sent it to her.
Oh, so we need to put the date in, and then we need to scroll down and make room for letterhead. December 5th instead of December blank.
Yes.
So you wanna send this obviously on letterhead. I would assume that will go out today.
Yeah, so move that.
Tell you what, I'll drop it off at the clinic. I mean, yeah, if you want, on my way out
Why not?
here, if you want.
I'd prefer to mail it to Mr. Tobin, and here's why. What happened the last time?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Some lady said, "Oh, I'll give that to him."
Never got there.
It
You
may
want-
or may not have. We don't even really know that to this day, right?
You want to copy it then?
This is going to Mr. Tobin and no one else, so I suggest we mail it. And he
Just leave it
can
to
carry
him.
it, yeah, and then he
It'll
can
go to
carry it to
Denver.
his board.
It's gonna go to be 3 days,
Okay.
huh? If we're lucky.
That was the intent when we're putting it on letterhead and addressing it to him, really, right? I mean, if we wanted to hand deliver it to him, I guess that would be different, but I don't think he lives in the county, does he?
No, it doesn't.
I don't know, not sure. For some reason, I thought at one time he told me about the weather when he was driving in from down below. I'm just following up, is that the intent of the commissioners to sign this and mail it? That's really what I'm asking.
Yes.
Yes. Was that not?
No.
I thought we made a motion. but
No,
I
we were
think
just
didn't.
adopting the letter as
Well, I
revised.
think we need to send a letter, I think
Yeah.
it's well overdue, they need to understand.
So can we print that off and I'll sign it?
And send it to the trip.
Yeah, we'll see what, I was gonna say, then we'll see what the Tribune has to say.
Part of the,
Well,
forum.
once it's signed, it's a public record and, and you're gonna send it out, so.
If you wanna send it to the Tribune, go ahead, I'm not.
Well,
Already got it.
I'm assuming somebody is gonna listen to this or is streaming it and watching, so they can come and get it if they want to.
Exactly.
sure. I move we adjourn.
I had one other thing, just real quick. I got the title insurance commitment while we were sitting here for the property from Colorado College. Everything looks good. No liens
just
or anything that have to be taken care of, so. I'll send this to all of you, but I'll take it from here and I'll contact Colorado College. And we have to send some paperwork up there for them to sign, and I assume maybe they'll just do a wire transfer for the purchase price. But things are moving along there.
With respect, Commissioner Kanda, we didn't get a second to your motion, but I would like to have a little quick discussion following up on
That's okay.
Attorney Smith. So, I thought about this through this conference we set through attainable short-term rental. We're now going to own this property.
County will, yes.
The county will own this property. I think we need to think about the deed restrictions or whatever we're going to do. I can tell you, I am not in favor of just turning around and selling this to the first developer that comes along.
Absolutely not, I agree.
So I would ask that we give some thought to what's that gonna look like. Do we need to give the Affordable Housing Board the authority to have an account to receive and expend money? I'll tell you why I'm asking you that. I reached out yesterday to an individual seeking $200,000 to fund this affordable housing initiative. I don't know what we'd do with that money today if we got it, except stick it in the general fund and try to put it
You'd earmark it.
in
You can earmark
a line item. So just food for thought is all I wanted to throw out.
Can I suggest, because I like where your mind's going on this, that we ask the Affordable Housing Group to come up with a proposal to us on the deed restrictions on how that property could be used and resold. So often someone gets into an affordable housing, they buy it under market value, there's no restrictions, they go ahead and sell and make a huge profit. It's a game that's played, so there has to be a deed restriction. And I think we could ask the Affordable Housing Committee to come to us and say, here's what we recommend
Yes,
you
we
do.
have to approve the sale.
And the conditions of the sale,
Conditions
that's
of
what
the
I'm
sale.
more interested in,
Yes,
is what are the
yes, nobody
conditions of
can
the
buy
sale?
it until
Right.
they
They've met those
understand what
conditions,
they're.
and agree to
But it
those
needs to be in the deed, because the first guy who signs the agreement, it doesn't go to the next person who
Right,
buys it.
unless
But
it's a
if
deed
in the deed, it
restriction.
does.
That's right.
That runs with the land.
And it would
Correct,
expire at some point, I mean, who
Yeah.
or not.
Cause if we don't have it, it's gonna go back to the open market eventually.
Right.
Somebody's gonna get greedy and wanna make money on
And so
it.
much, and the first person, they do that, that's what
So yeah, that was what I just wanted to throw out.
But see, that's gonna take a lot of careful thought, because in fact, if I were a kid and wanted to buy a house, and I got an affordable house, that's the intent, it's not for, what do we call it, the other kind of housing that's
attainable.
sustainable and affordable. One
Well, like
section,
Section 8 housing or
yeah, whatever it is, anyway,
workforce housing.
yeah, at some point, it's gonna be their home, and they, after a certain length of time, deserve the right to use the equity, and we're gonna have to figure out what that means.
Right.
And any improvements that they do.
Yeah, right, yeah, we can't.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be their land.
It's gonna be their place.
There's no question about it, but
But
this
we
whole
can
deed
restrict
restriction
how they
thing, they're
turn
gonna
it.
have to
That's right.
agree to that when they buy the property,
Right.
so. Anyway, I've got some other thoughts, but I'm not gonna belabor
Prolong the meeting, is that what you mean?
the whole thing now, so,
Why do we have different color paper?
Cause it was printed, the letterhead's printed on a different color.
and then
I was
we had
asking
a-
Kelly, where's,
and
that
then we
comes
had
from
a
Crestone
new supply
Graphics,
of
we need to get
regular.
the soft copy
This
of
was-
the header,
This was
so
old,
we can
this
put it
was
on
new.
any color paper.
Why we can't spend the money to get it all the same color to be on me. Thank you, ma'am.
That's gotta be in there.
Just had this mailed out
I
today.
hope the envelopes are that same color.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
They're
if they
pink.
don't match, it'd be awful.
Anything else, John? Mr. Candy, anything you want to say? Yes, there is. Yeah. Motion.
Oh, I move we adjourn, I thought somebody was gonna second it.
I'll second it. Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
I gotta go chase it.
Opposed, nay.
Mr. Clark, do you just
Unless you want it. If you want it.